Broken Fathers podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. If you are going through the family law court process, particularly as a father, then this podcast may be relevant to what you may experience. Some things we discuss in these episodes may be triggering, and if you suffer from any form of mental health related conditions or subject to domestic or family violence and need any assistance, then please call 1-800-RESPECT and Lifeline. The views and experiences discussed by people on our show are not necessarily the views and opinions of Broken Fathers podcast or their guest speakers. We strongly advise you seek your own independent legal and professional advice, as the Broken Fathers podcast will not be liable, answerable, or accountable for any loss or damage or litigation resulting from discussions on our platform. Right, this podcast is now in session. Hold on, guys. The judge is running late to court. So whilst we wait, I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge our platinum sponsor, Straight Up Construction. At Straight Up Construction, they take pride in delivering high-end work across every trade. From new builds to renovations, no job is too big or too small. Director Luke Miller and his dedicated team tackle every project with integrity, hard work, honesty, and a commitment to delivering superior quality results every time. Straight Up Construction is built on the belief that strong foundations matter just as much in the bones of a home as they do in the heart of one. Families should stand strong, and every loving parent should maintain their right to be a part of their children's lives. Straight Up Construction believes that in true Aussie spirit, everyone deserves a fair go. That's why we're proud to have Straight Up Construction as our platinum sponsor. With their support, we continue to produce the Broken Fathers podcast and shine a light on the struggles of men who have been let down by the system. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers, and welcome to another episode of the Broken Fathers podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined with a 35-year-old broken father from the Gold Coast. He works in scheduling. He has one daughter who unfortunately has been abducted back to Japan, and he hasn't seen her for 2 years. His name is Dan, and he joins me here today. Mate, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me on.
Mate, appreciate it. Mate, like all my guests, I like to start back from day one, mate. Get to know a little bit about them, where they're born, where they grew up, and what life was like for Dan.
Yeah, so I was born in Birmingham, England, and I was raised mainly by my mum, my nan, my granddad, and then I had a stepdad as well. So I never grew up knowing my own biological dad, and pretty normal life aside from that. I knew nothing different, and yeah, it life in England growing up was okay, I guess.
Yep. Birmingham's the Peaky Blinders, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So actually at an old job that I had just down the road, actually, Peaky Blinder was the nickname.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Yeah.
Mate, what was it like growing up in... I had a gentleman on the last episode. He was from England. Was it like how you see in the movies, but depending on where you are, sort of rough on the streets, sort of...
Yeah, Birmingham, I would say it's a bit of a rough place. I think you definitely sort of got to have your wits. And I remember growing up there, there's, walking down the road at night sometimes and you see a guy sort of walking towards you, you're a little bit like, there's a potential for something to happen here. So it's a little bit like that. I never really felt safe there growing up.
Which is probably one reason that led me to move to Australia.
Mate, your dad, was he on the scene growing up?
My biological dad, no. So I had no contact with him, nothing. But actually what happened was, for one reason or another, when I was 24, I was at a pub with my friends, and an idea just sparked in my head, and I was like, I'm thinking about trying to, contact my biological dad. And they was like, oh, why not? And I sat on it for a couple of weeks, and I thought about it here and there. Didn't really take it too seriously. And then I actually found him on Facebook. And then I'd sent him a message. It's funny because I came across his profile before, but I didn't actually know that it was him. I got back to his profile through his brother's profile, because I knew he had a brother, so it it connected. So I sent him a message, and I basically said to him on the message, look, fancy a chat. And he called me, and obviously he was in complete shock. And it turns out that he lived in Bribie Island, Australia.
No way, no Bribie, yeah.
Wherever that is,
Yeah.
for me at that time. So I actually always knew that he lived in Australia, but that's all that I knew. Like, I never grew up with my mum bashing him or saying nasty things. I just knew that he left, and the reason I didn't really know.
Yep.
So.
Did your mum ever tell you when you were growing up why, or did you ever ask?
I don't think I ever asked, and I don't think she ever told me from memory.
Okay.
So I don't have this memory of like, oh, maybe he was a bad person or something. I don't think I'd been fed that. The only thing that I've been told is that he'd moved to Australia. So, and still to this day, I don't fully know the story why. So, yeah, we had a chat on the phone, and I said to him, I was like, things in England they're not going well. I'm unhappy, and I said to him, how about I come to Australia? I said, would you let me stay at yours? Like, what does it look like? And he said, look, Dan, he said, I can tell you one thing, that Australia is a much better place to live than England. So he said to me, he said, what I'll do is I'll buy you a one-way ticket, and whatever you do after that is completely up to you. So that's what happened. I booked a ticket, and then this was in about 2 weeks of us reconnecting, and then about 4 weeks after that, I flew to Australia just on my own. I just turned 25, and that was 10 years ago tomorrow.
Wow.
That I did that, yeah.
And you're doing the potty today.
I'm doing the potty today, so
Crazy.
it's a bit of a full circle in a sense. Like it's one of those things where it's just timing. 10 years on from when I moved here, I'm sitting here with you, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing sometimes, but I'm grateful for the last 10 years mostly. So, but yeah, I mean, between like me and my dad, when I first got to Australia, he had 2 sons, he'd remarried. They all was aware of my existence, but I knew nothing of them. So I'd got to his house, and everyone was, Dan.
There.
His friends were coming over. Oh, Dan, we've been, we tried to look for you. And I was like, me? I was like, me? And it was pretty surreal. So then from there, I stayed with him for about 3 months. And I think he was expecting me to come over and ask him a lot of questions about what happened, and maybe be a bit grudgeful. But I actually realised before any of, asking him anything at all, that whatever the answer is as to why he moved to Australia would never be good enough for leaving me in England. But I don't hold anything against him at all. Nothing. So I stayed with him for about 3 months, and then I moved to the Gold Coast. Then I started to just enjoy life on the Gold Coast. I was just a working holiday visa.
Yep.
Just doing some casual jobs, meeting a bunch of new people from different countries. And I was, for the next 2 years that I was on my working holiday, I was loving my life. Those were some of the best times. Like those 2 years where I didn't care about anything were just...
You would have been shocked seeing our beaches, wouldn't you, compared to England?
Mate, I couldn't believe, because normally when you associate beaches and stuff like that, we think of Spain and stuff. Like, we think of places that we're never going to be able to live, really. So to see, people actually living here and working as normal, I just couldn't believe a place like this existed.
God's country, mate.
Yeah, so it was great, and again, like making all these new friends and meeting all these people from different countries. Yeah, I was just having a great time, you know. It was really good. And then, you know, when I moved to the Gold Coast, like I never really spoke to my dad that much. I was kind of drifting into, you know, I was 25. I was doing my own thing, and I'd only met him for 3 months, so I didn't really have a strong connection with him. I just got to know him a little bit. We spent a bit of time together, watched a few movies, we had a few chats, played some pool, had a beer. Like all great things. But when I moved to the Gold Coast, I really started to get into my own lane of finding, you know, myself again here.
Hey guys, just a quick shout out to our gold sponsors. MCH Industries are a mining maintenance specialist company supplying solutions to the coal mining industry in the Bowen Basin and regional New South Wales. They supply superintendents, supervisors, leading hands, diesel fitters, tyre fitters, auto electricians, HV electricians, and trade assistants to assist. The mining one-stop shop for mechanical trades. MCH Industries are always looking for good blokes to jump on the team, so check out their Instagram for more details. And are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? There's only one name that's been leading the way for over 123 years, Ray White. Ray White isn't just another real estate brand. It's a family business built on ambition, trust, and leadership. Today, it stands as the largest real estate group in Australasia, connecting people with homes and investments across the country. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a seasoned investor, or looking for that perfect home, Ray White is committed to delivering authentic, local expertise. Because real estate isn't just about properties, it's about people, communities, and futures. And when it comes to trusted leadership, meet Alex Ilyan, an ex-army veteran turned dedicated real estate agent. Alex knows what it means to serve, to strategize, and to get the job done. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just have questions, Alex is here to guide you every step of the way, servicing the Geelong, Bellarine, and Surf Coast areas. Ray White, the name you can trust in real estate. Mate, take me back to that moment when you're seeing your dad for the first time. What were some of the emotions? Anxious?
Yeah, so, you know, I just took a 24-hour flight, and I was really anxious, and I was really upset about leaving my family and stuff in England, because, you know, it's not something that you do easily. And I remember I was on the plane, I was really anxious, and I was like, you know, I don't know what to expect. I've never travelled this far. When I got off the plane and I was walking through them doors, it was like everyone else around him was kind of blurred out, and I could see his face, and you know, I knew what he looked like. And yeah, you know, he just gave me a hug and said, welcome to Australia. And we got in his ute, and we drove to his. And yeah, it was a really weird moment thinking back to it, and it took me a few days to adjust to being, you know, in Australia, and knowing that I've moved here with intentions of not living in England again.
Yep.
I think I knew that from the start. I think coming here was a little bit more about me starting again than me meeting my dad, but it just so happens that both of those things turned out to be equally great.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So, mate, you come to Australia, you see your dad, spend about 3 months with him, move down the Gold Coast, probably getting sunburnt like all the other pommies. You enjoying life. I assume maybe at some point you meet your ex at sometime here.
Yeah, so I moved here February 2015.
Yep.
And I met my ex-partner around about May 2018. Up until that point, I'd been pretty much single, had my own place. I was enjoying doing my own thing, having my own place, my own independence, time on my own. I was for the first time I was an adult, and it felt great. So yeah, we met mid 2018, and the way we met was, so I had a 2-bedroom unit in Southport, and I used to rent the spare room out.
Mm-hmm.
She moved in as a housemaid. So I remember she came for the inspection, and she was like, the place that she stayed in, she doesn't feel safe there because it got broken into, and she really needs a room. And I had a room, and I was like, oh yeah, of course, move in. And I did think when I seen her, I was like, wow,
She's attractive.
she's attractive. And little did I know at the time that she was thinking the same thing. And she actually said to me that, because she never actually viewed the room. She viewed the place, but not the room, because I had somebody else in there at the time that was about to move out, and I weren't sure if there was home. So I said to her, look, the room, like, I just can't show you the room. She's like, it doesn't matter. I want to move in. And I think we just had that connection.
And how old is she? Same age as you?
No, so she'll be 39 now. So she's 4
4
years
years
older than me.
Yep.
Looking at her, you wouldn't think that. Most Japanese people age well.
Fine wine.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, she moved in. Literally within a couple of days of her moving in, we was sitting on the sofa, just talking all through the night, just really enjoying each other's company. And one of the things that brought us together is, because she moved in and she said to me, she was like, Dan, look, I'm going to move in, but in 3 months' time, I'm going to move back to Japan. I was like, okay, why? Is that what you want to do? She's like, not really, but my parents pressure me so much that I feel guilty for not being in Japan. They keep saying, oh, you've abandoned us. We're old. You need to look after us and stuff like that. That's, more their culture than ours, right? So, and I remember her being really upset, and I was, sort of cuddling her on the sofa and was getting close and was having all these deep conversations, and then that's when the fuse sort of lit for us. And then from there, we almost had a very casual but emotional relationship for the 3 months that she lived with me, because we always, both of us, we always knew that she was going to move out after 3 months, but we started to get really, really deep with each other. And so she had just got granted her permanent residency. She'd actually lived here longer than me.
So pause you there. She's 29 at the time, 10 years ago.
So this was 2018.
Oh, 18, sorry. Okay.
So she would have been
33.
30s, early 30s,
Yep.
something like that. And I was 27.
What was she doing for work?
So she was working for a travel company that sells like ski packages in Japan.
Okay.
Based on the Gold Coast, Queensland owner, and yeah, she'd worked there for a little bit of time. So she had just got granted her permanent residency when we met, and I was on a student visa then. And she got her permanent visa through her ex-partner, who was Australian. They had broke up while on the partner visa, and she had claimed DV against him, and through DV got granted her permanent visa. Now back then I know nothing of this. DV, I don't know really what that is too much.
How long was she with that guy at the time?
She was with him about 7 years, I believe.
Oh, shit.
So they was together for a while.
Yep.
And then, apparently he had his own issues that led to obviously them breaking up. apparently, like he had an issue with drugs or something. I don't know the full story, but and yeah, they broke up. So then her plan was to stay with me for 3 months, and then she was going to move back to Japan. I guess do what she needs to do with her parents. And her words were, "I'm going to go back to Japan and find a husband."
Yeah, right.
Sure. Yeah, I guess. I think in their culture, like you get to a certain age and there's a status that has to be upheld with having kids and a partner and a husband. Time's ticking. So yeah, I think that became quite important to her as a goal. I think sometimes with Asian cultures, they, rather than the connection itself, it's more of the picture that it paints outwards to other people. They want what they see in the movie. They want that happy thing more than they want the true connection behind it. And I'm not saying that's her. I don't know, but from my experience, it's always been a little bit like that for them. So.
Yeah, okay. Mate, so what happens at the 3-month mark?
So the 3-month mark hits, and she's got her ticket to go back home. She goes home. She goes back to Japan.
What was the emotions when you said goodbye to each other? Was there talk about her coming back, talk about you going, or was it just a simple, it was 3 months, it is what it is? And
no, so we always knew that we was going to stay connected, and we didn't really know what was going to happen. She'd said to me, "Dan, why don't you come to Japan and live there and for a bit and whatever." But at the time, I was on a student visa, and I couldn't pull out of me trying to obtain my permanent visa here, because if I go to Japan and something goes wrong, well, then I probably have to go back to England or something, and that wasn't really an option for me. So I decided to stay in Australia. But when she went back, mate, the day she left, I was completely broken. I was lost.
You were in love with her at the time?
I was in love. I don't think I'd ever been in love
before.
As thinking back now, I don't think I've ever been in love before. Now that I'd met her, I thought I had before, but now I'd met her. Now I'd realise, okay, this is what love is, and so she went back and we spoke every day, a little bit on the phone, mostly messages and stuff like that. And this was around about October time of 2018. So then she said she would come back to visit around Christmas time and would spend a couple of weeks together. And in that time, like, I pretty much said to her, I was like, "Look, I love you more than anything else at this point. I want you to come back to Australia, and I want us to start a life together." And she was, worried about her parents. And I said, "Whatever your parents throw at you, whatever they say, however they make you feel, we'll go through that together." And she said, "All right, okay." She said, "I'll come back for Christmas for a couple of weeks. And then in January, go and get a place, go and get things sorted, and I'll come back and we'll do it." And she came over at Christmas. We had a good couple of weeks together. She left. I was upset again.
Well, you guys were, in those first 3 months when she moved in, you guys were sexually active?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
massively. Yeah. We was pretty much together without the label, because we knew that she was going to move. There was a time frame on it. Yeah, there was a time frame on it. So, and at some point in that 3 months, I think between us both was like, "Oh, it'll be okay." Sort of holiday romance kind of thing. I'll be okay when it all ends. But when it ended, it hit me hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd made my choice. This is who I want to be with.
Yep.
This is the one for me.
So she comes back. You guys spend a couple of weeks together at Christmas time. She leaves again. You get hit with the same feelings. Gutted.
Yeah, and then she said she's going to come back at like towards the end of January. So she booked a one-way ticket to come back to Australia. I went and got a place. I went and got some furniture. Got as much as set up as I can. She came back. We officially moved in together in the January, and we were still waiting for furniture to come. Our sofa was an airbed. We had no fridge. It was just an esky, a couple of things in it, and we just hung out again, watched movies. Like we had nothing really, but it was somehow it was
Happy.
we didn't need anything, So, but eventually we made that place as homely as we could, and her job's pretty remote, so she can pretty much work from anywhere, and especially with her job being, an Australian company that sells Japanese ski packages, for her to go to Japan, it sometimes makes sense for her to do that. Go to the hotels, check everything out, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we moved in together, and it was great. I'd never lived with a partner before. It was my first serious relationship, and it did. At the beginning, it did take a toll on me because I didn't grow up understanding what a relationship looks like. Because I'd never really grew up
growing up
with my dad. I never saw it. The only thing that I knew of relationships is destruction, arguing, fighting. Someone hadn't told me that. My subconscious feels that that's what it is. Like, it's just like knowing that a shark is dangerous. You just know.
Yeah.
So I struggled for a bit, and then we worked through it. And then my visa was actually running out, my student visa. And we made the decision that she was going to sponsor me as a partner to stay in Australia.
Yep.
Which may seem, usually it's the opposite, right? But she was the permanent resident. I wasn't. And to save me jumping through the hoops that I would have had to jump through, we did the partner visa. So I paid for it. I did the whole thing myself. She contributed where she needed to. And, at the time, we was probably a little bit premature in terms of making a good application, but I just thought, well, I'll throw it in there anyway, and it takes a couple of years to process. So by then, we'll be solid. And yeah, this was the start of 2019. We moved in together. We went on a couple of trips. We went to Taiwan at the end of 2019. Again, we had a great time. Like, we was just happy, It wasn't perfect. Like, I was going through my own challenges as well, but our relationship wasn't bad at all. We had normal problems like every other relationship.
So you do some. She sponsored your partner visa. You moved in together. You start traveling together. Things are great.
Yeah,
things are great. We're 2019 now.
Yeah. So 2019, we went to Bali in January for my birthday, and then we came back, and then COVID hit.
That's right, COVID.
And then we'd just moved to a new place as well. Still on the Gold Coast, not too far from where we used to live, but we moved to a new place. And then she got like stood down from her job because there's no travel companies, right?
Yeah.
So she got stood down, and I was the one going to work. And at that time, I just started a new job as well, and I was working Like,
Non-stop.
man, I was working like 11, 12 hours a day. I'd got sold it short, really, the job. It wasn't the easiest for me to always get decent jobs because I was on a visa. Sometimes I was in that too hard basket of we're not sure what this means. So yeah, I was working this job and yeah, I was the one bringing in all the money.
Yep.
And we were just getting on with things. Things were all good. And then trying to think when it was. I think 2020 was when things started to change a little bit. Not necessarily in a bad or good way, but they just started to grow. Like we just brought a car together. Like that was a big thing for us to do. And you know, she's 4 years older than me, so where she's at and where I'm at was actually starting to show differences. So I remember we went for a walk, and just almost out of nowhere, she said, "Oh, I want to get engaged by the end of this year." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Now, I'd never really thought about marriage or anything like that. I've grew up, like, my mum had almost stressed, Dan, don't get married. Like, easy to get into, hard to get out of, not necessary in the modern world. So that's how my mind had been shaped. So she said she wanted to get engaged, and I was a bit like, why? You know? Yeah, so she had said that, you know, if we don't get engaged by the end of the year, she's going to break up with me. I don't know how serious that was, but it started to make me think that maybe I wasn't
Right man for the job?
yeah, I thought maybe I'm not as serious as I should be. Maybe I'm not. Yeah, maybe this isn't. Maybe I'm not that guy because I didn't really want the same things as her at that time.
Yep.
So I know of like 3 or 4 months later, I know her birthday's coming up, and I'm like, you know, I got to get engaged. I got to go and buy a ring. I got to do the whole thing. So her birthday came around, and I got her this ring. I surprised her. Wrote her this nice letter. Went out for a nice dinner. And she was, I'd never seen someone so happy. Like, I've still got the video of her seeing the ring.
Whereabouts you go?
So we just went to some Italian restaurant on the Gold Coast.
Yep.
We actually got, like, I gave her the letter and the ring in the unit in our apartment because, you know, I know what she's like. So, but this girl, like, ran across the room, did a slide. She was crying her eyes out, and she was that was the happiest I'd ever seen her, really. And yeah, we was super happy, and you know, and again, like, I did it for her because I wanted to be with her. At the time, I didn't really believe about getting engaged and stuff like that. But I did it out of the love that I had for her. And things were good. You know, COVID was still there, so I was the only one working. We was just doing life as you do. And then this was maybe at the end of 2020. This was probably 3-4 months after we got engaged. So again, from memory, like, we're taking a walk, and she goes, "I want to have a baby." And I'm like, whoa, you know? And I was like, okay, well, let me think about that. I can't just give you an answer right now.
Spot, yeah.
I was like, you know, we've got COVID. I'm still on my visa. Like, I would ideally want us to be in a better place.
Yeah, of course.
For, you know, to have kids or even think about having kids. And she was like, well, why not? What's wrong with now, kind of thing? And I was like, well, she was like, but you've mentioned before about me, stop taking the pill and stuff like that. I was like, yeah. I was like, I remember I mentioned it to you before. I did say that, we could look into that. But, that was a light conversation for me. Maybe not for her, but maybe it was for me. So we had a bit of a joust about her coming off the pill. And look, I really didn't want to argue. And I remember I said to her, I was like, look, just come off the pill. That's fine. Don't plan anything. Let nature decide what happens from here. And, at that point in our relationship, we wasn't really that active anyway, like sexually.
Yeah.
Like
it had faded off at some point. Like,
yeah, it had faded off a little bit before that. And that wasn't her fault, really. I would say that was more my fault.
being stressed and overworked.
Look, I was overworked. I was overweight. I was probably about 15 kilos heavier than I am now.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I was I was just really uncomfortable in my skin, I think. So then after the conversation about the pill, she come off the pill and stuff like that. And I didn't really have any problems with it in the end. And then what happened after that was her starting to download all the tracking apps, the cycle apps, all these,
Yeah, I know that app you're talking about.
Right. So, and then I remember it was January 2021, and it was around my birthday time actually. And probably just finished work, had a shower, chilling, having dinner, whatever. Might have been the weekend, I don't know. And she said, tonight's the good night to try, Dan. I was like, oh wow. I was like, to be honest, I don't even want to have sex tonight because I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
I just want to have dinner.
Yeah, I know what it's like.
You right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, like, I really don't want to do this tonight, but let's go. So went to the bedroom, did the thing, went to sleep, all good. Then about 2 days later, the same conversation again. Dan, tonight's also the best night to do it. I was like, okay. So I thought, again, gear myself up again to go. And this is not, no offense to her. This is just, I just don't feel like having sex.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like trying to make a child because that's not really what I want, to be honest. We had sex for that second time. And as soon as it had finished, I knew straight away that she was going to get pregnant. Something inside of me
Gut feeling.
told me, said, Dan,
Get
this
ready.
is it. Get ready. Put your seatbelt on. For the next few weeks, she's she's waiting to come on her period and stuff like that, and she doesn't. She's late and all this, and I just knew. And then I came home one day from work, and she says, "Oh, Dan, I got something to tell you." Yeah, we've heard these stories, right? I've got something to tell you. I'm pregnant. And I was like, I kind of already knew it, but now it was confirmed. I was like, I gave her a hug and, sort of said congratulations.
How did you generally feel?
I didn't know exactly how I felt at the time, but I didn't feel like she did. Yeah. I felt a bit like now I'm fucked, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, and that, because I never really wanted kids, and I didn't want kids based on what I'd known growing up to what it's like to have kids. I've just known it to be a struggle, arguing, fighting, breaking up, weaponizing. Like, I knew all this from a kid. I just knew.
Yeah.
So for the next few days, I didn't really say too much about it. I called my mom. I told my mom. My mom was like completely gobsmacked because she never ever thought that I would have a kid.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not that. I'm not that kind of person. I wasn't then anyway. So a few days later, I said to her, I was like, look, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't know if I'm capable of being a dad. I was crying. I was on the phone to my nan. I was crying. I was like, Nan, I can't do it. I can't do this, Nan. This is not for me. And I think that stems back to me not knowing what a dad is. Like, I had no idea. I spent a lot of time with my granddad growing up, and the thought of being a granddad sounds great. It's like, oh, I can't wait to be a granddad, you know? But the thought of being a dad, scary, too scary. So I told my ex. I said, look, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't think. I don't know if this is like something that I can handle. And then we went through a bit of a rough patch. She was worried about being a single mom and stuff like that. And then we actually booked an appointment for an abortion.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How was her thoughts on that?
She was worried about her raising a child on her own. And I wasn't going to leave her. But that's just where her mind was at, yeah. So we booked the appointment, and she was, obviously that's not what she wanted, but the appointment was very tentative, And then the appointment wasn't for like a couple of weeks. So we got a text message. The text message that says, oh, your appointment is in like 2 days. Please confirm you're still attending. Text yes or no. And that was a really special moment for me in a way, because when that message came and that message said to me, Dan,
decide.
You need to tell me yes or no. There's no way I could have gone through with an abortion. I said, we are not doing that. No way. I said, no chance. And that was it from there. From there, it was all smiles. We were gearing up to have our first child. And everyone was excited, everybody around us. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was just really looking forward to it, preparing everything. I threw her a baby shower, a surprise baby shower. I snuck out in the morning. I'd messaged all her friends, like, we're going to have a barbecue downstairs, and got all these balloons. And she was still in bed, and she woke up, and I was just like, Dan, where are you? I was like, look over the balcony. And me and all her friends are downstairs, and we're waving. Yeah. We're like, oh, come with your baby shower today. And she was so happy. Like, she was upset because, of how happy it was. And, we cooked some sausages, we had a couple of burgers, got a few gifts. And and that was a turning point for me, because I wasn't really that kind of person as such. And, but I did it because...
You stepped up to the plate, you were ready to be a father.
I was ready, yeah. I was like, so I'm going to be a dad, and we're going to get through this together. And so, time passed. She was getting bigger and bigger. I mean, she still wasn't working because of COVID anyway. But then she actually got a part-time job at a sushi restaurant, just to earn a bit of extra money while she was pregnant. Like, hats off to her. Like, like she went and did the shifts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she probably didn't really need to, but you're always money conscious when you got a kid on the way. So, and we didn't have much money. So, And then, yeah, like come October 26th, 2021, my daughter came into this world. It was actually on the 25th that we'd woke up like in the night and she started having really bad contractions, stuff like that. We went to the hospital, you know, and we was there like solid, like we did the shift in the hospital. We waited, we sat there, we was gonna have a baby. And you know, all my family in England, apart from my biological dad that lives here, but again, we wasn't that close.
Yeah, so pause right there. So during this time, did your dad ever pop down? Was he excited? Did you break the news to him?
Yeah, so he came down, and he came down with one of his sons, and actually his son does like photography, so he actually
photos.
came and did some like maternity photos that my ex wanted to do, and I didn't really like. I hated that, to be honest, because like
That's just not your cup of tea.
that wasn't me, you know, like cheesy photos on the beach. But
I did it.
yeah, right,
You got to do it.
yeah. But you know, after when the photos came out, I was like,
Oh, that's pretty good.
that's nice, you know. Yeah, you know, he was happy. Everyone was happy. He did come down to visit. But when the labour started, you know, it was just me and her. There was nobody else. It was me and her all the way. And you know, you would probably know as a man, like when you're in the hospital room, like you're pretty much useless. Like you don't know what to do.
I just had the wet rug, the wet towel, just.
Yeah. Like I'm sitting there. I don't know what to do.
Did she have your daughter naturally?
She had like an epidural.
Yeah, so she was overdue? Or she was just in pain?
She wasn't that much overdue. In fact, I don't know if she was overdue or not. I can't remember the due date. But she was in a lot of pain. She was in a lot of pain. You know, my ex is a small person.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, we battled it out all night. Yeah, my daughter came into this world, and
What was that like?
man, when she first came out, because they're very like blue and purple when they come out, and
You
for like
freaked out.
and for a few seconds there was no like there was nothing, there was no breathing or nothing, and then a couple of seconds later it was like all crying, and then like the world just lit back up, you know. Then my daughter went on my ex-partner's chest and they just cut it up for a bit. And I couldn't stop crying, man. I couldn't believe what had happened.
Yeah.
I'd never felt anything like this, you know.
Yeah, it's a moment I'll take to the grave.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, the nurses said, you know, Dan, like, do you want to cut the umbilical cord? And I was really like nervous. I was like, oh, I don't want to cut someone's skin, you know. And I was like, no, it's the rite of passage for a father to do that. So I did that, and then my ex stayed in the hospital for a couple of days because she had to have like a couple of stitches and stuff. And so I was back and forth, home, hospital. And you know, I was sleeping on the little bench in the hospital, you know, and I remember my ex was pretty upset because she, you know, she wasn't really getting much milk, and she felt a little bit, you know, less of a mum, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she was upset, but we worked through it, you know. We worked through that together, and it was all good in the end.
Yep.
And then yeah, a couple of days later, we took our daughter home, and then the next probably 6 weeks after that, we was just around the clock, you know. Like she was on looking after the little one, then I was, and then she would take a rest and stuff like that, and I'm quite surprised how quickly one, how quickly I adapted to being able to do that kind of stuff, like change a nappy and stuff like that, you know. And she just, you know, she was a natural at being a mum as most of them, I would say.
Oh,
are.
yeah.
Like it's like, I think for men it's a bit of a learn,
Yep.
but for women, I think a lot of it, like it's an instinct. So yeah, we was good, you know. We had people coming round. Everything was pretty nice at that point. However, when I went back to work, so I had about 6 weeks off work, and
Yep.
then when I went back to work, I was starting to go. I went through something, just I don't know what it was, but I just started to feel down.
Mm.
I was just down, and then I was having a really tough time at work. Like I don't know if I'd say I'd been bullied. I don't know if I'd say that's the word to use, but I was definitely a target. You know, we had some really bad management there, and they just love to, you know, pick on the nice people. And
You still don't shoot him? No, you get your partner visa by this point, haven't you?
so at this point, I was on my partner visa,
Yeah.
but my permanent visa hadn't been granted.
Yep.
I was still waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, actually, I'm wrong. So, she got pregnant in January 2021, and then May 2021, they granted my permanent.
Visa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So I got it as she was pregnant,
Yep.
which was quite was great timing, you know. So yeah, so I started to have a really tough time at work. Like, I'm working 12-hour shifts. I'm coming home. I'm helping look after the little one as well. And, you know, I'm the one earning all the money. And I'm just, it's starting to get on top of me, if I'm being honest. Like, I wasn't feeling great, but I kept it to myself because I didn't want to bring it home when we've got the little one and we've got things going on. And then I had my family coming over. This was maybe around March, April 2021. My daughter was, 4 or 5 months, something like that. Oh, so that would have been 2022 they came over. She was born at the end of 2021. So my family came over, and as my family, so this was my mom, my nan, and my niece, because I've got a sister in the UK that has a daughter.
Yep.
We got different dads biologically.
Yep.
That's my sister. So my niece came over as well, and we spent some great time together. And then I came down with shingles.
Oh, really?
Like, never had anything close in my life. In my eye, I couldn't see out my eye. I almost lost my eye, and so I had to go to the hospital and everything. And they put it down. So I was like, man, you're stressed. I was like, you got something going on. It's like you don't just get shingles going to get some milk. Like you're stressed.
Yes.
And we can tell as well. I was like, well, I have been stressed. Like, I got a lot going on at work, and the home's very busy, you know. So anyway, while my family was there, I had like shingles, couldn't see out my eye, but we spent some great time together. We had this small 1-bedroom unit, but we was all camped out on the floor. We didn't care. It was the most beautiful memories, you know.
Bonding time.
Bonding time, and my family was loving seeing my daughter, and my ex was really close to my family, especially my nan. Her and my nan, like, they was really, really good friends. They got on really well.
Yep.
They would go and do stuff together. My nan would help. My nan would go with my ex to like one of these mums support groups in the day, because sometimes, you know, she didn't have much to do and she didn't have much social interaction and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just a beautiful time. And then it was time for them to leave. They left. It was very sad. Let's say this is April 2022. We've still got sort of COVID, more or less. And then we started talking about the idea of us going to Japan for a holiday, so that the little one can meet my ex's parents. I was all for it. I was like, let's go to Japan. What a great idea. I was like, I'm bored in Australia. I'm fed up of working. I'm like let's go.
Yep.
So we had to actually go and get a special visa
to
to
leave.
leave and enter Japan at that time. We got that, all good. And then the plan was this. We would go travel to Japan together at the same time. And she would stay an extra, 3 weeks after me. And I would come back because, I was running out of leave and stuff. And I said to her, I was like, look, you stay a few extra weeks in Japan. I'll go back. Just spend some time with your family. Just spend some time with your family without me there, worrying about, English and your parents. So we booked to go to Japan. And then she said to me, she was like, Dan, look, because I said, let's just stay at your parents' house. I was there for 6 weeks. We'll just stay at your parents' house. Cheaper. She was like, Dan, my parents are not that easy. They're difficult people. Now, I'd never spoke to her parents once the whole time we'd been together. Not once. She rarely spoke to her parents because she said they're just too difficult.
Too traditional?
Yeah.
Old school?
Yeah. It's funny, we say traditional, old school and whatever, but we often give the Japanese a pass with being traditional. Let's not confuse traditional and racism. There's a line, and you'll understand where this line came in. So she said to me before we went, she was like, Dan, look, I took my ex-partner to Japan and it didn't go well. I was like, what do you mean it didn't go well? She's like, well, my dad wouldn't let him in the house. And I was like, why? She's like, because he didn't approve of him. And I was like, yeah, but why? She was like, because he's not Japanese. I was like, okay. And I was like, what about your mom? She was like, oh, well, my mom just does whatever dad says. Yeah, right. So I was like, look, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. I'll be good. And then because we was going in summer in Japan and it gets really hot. So she was like, look, I'm going to need you to cover up your tattoos while we're there because my parents don't want to be seen in their community with someone with tattoos. And I was like, really? That's a bit weird. But, I knew a little bit about Japan anyway. So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. So we flew over to Japan together. And then man, it's 37 degrees, sometimes 40 degrees. And I'm walking around with a pair of tights on my arms, basically.
Sizzling.
Yeah, I'm sizzling. So we get there and, we had a few plans to travel and stuff like that. She was basically like, look, it's too hot for the little one to go out. We're going to have to move some of the plans around. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm bored. I want to go and do something. I haven't come here to spend time with your family that much, to be honest. I want to go and do things. I've been stuck in Australia for a few years. Let's go and do something. So, bearing in mind, while I was there and before I came there, I was already feeling down. I can't pinpoint why. I'm not going to blame work or what. I'm not going to blame one thing. I just wasn't feeling good, So while we was in Japan, she was spending time with her parents. The first week was just me, her, and her parents and the little one. It was all good. We did a few things. Her parents, they welcomed me into the home. They wasn't nasty to me or anything. They let me in. no real problems. I did sense that there was a bit of deep down. I felt like they didn't really want me there because of the story that I'd heard about her ex going there. So I knew deep down that the only reason I was in the house was because of my daughter. Like
As a daughter.
they had no choice.
Yeah.
You know, I come with her.
Now, at this point in time, is there any dramas between you and your ex in the relationship? No.
No, not really.
No.
We're pretty okay.
Yeah.
We're pretty okay. We're probably at the normal point of a relationship that's just had a child, where it's all about the child.
Yeah.
And look, if I'm being honest, like, you know, before we went to Japan, I was, you know, she would sleep in the bedroom, I would sleep on the sofa, I'd get up early for work. And I was feeling a bit left out, I'll be honest. I was feeling a bit like, okay, well, now she's got my daughter, what about me? Like, you know, that's just the way I was thinking at the time. But, you know, I understood the process, but I couldn't help naturally feeling a bit like that I knew I wanted some attention, you know. So we're in Japan. First week's pretty good. I'm wearing these tights on my arms, and yeah, no real problems. So then I say to her, I said, look, I want to go away for a weekend on my own. Let me just go out. Let me just go out for a weekend. And she was like, yeah, sure, no problems. So we're staying in Tokyo, and I get the train down and go to Osaka. And when I get there, I meet this girl. And we ended up sleeping together more than once. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I'm being honest. And
And what's this place called?
Osaka.
Osaka.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I meet this girl in Osaka. We jump in a hotel, and we're just going out, we're having dinner, we're having loads of sex. Like, I'm getting my needs met at this point, right? And I said to myself, I was like, I'm just gonna do this for a weekend, and then I'm just gonna go back to my family, and I'll be all good, because I feel good now, you know. And I think for me, like, looking back, having a lot of time to process everything that happened. When people are feeling down and they've got something going on, and I'm not making an excuse, because what I did was wrong. It was a crap thing to do. When people have got things going on and whatever, they, you know, some people may go and drink, some people may go and gamble. Everyone's got their vice.
Their own Band-Aid.
For me, mine was the sex. You know.
Was she a Japanese girl, this other girl?
Yeah, she was Japanese too. So I have this weekend with this girl, and then I go back to my ex and the family house or whatever. And then, if I'm being honest, I started to miss this other girl, because we had a great time.
Still in love with your ex at that point in time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still love her, I still care about her, like, but I was the lust of the other.
You had a spark somewhere else.
Yeah. And you know what it's like at the beginning, it's exciting, it's all
honeymoon phase,
it's all honeymoon stuff, you know. So I was feeling good again. I was like, I feel good. I was like, clearly this is what I've been missing. That's what I thought at the time. So anyway, I goes back to my ex, and you know, we spend another week together, and it's all good. It's no problems. But now I've got this other girl messaging me, and now I've got a problem. So I spend another week with my family, and then I go and meet this girl again. And at that point, I don't know what I'm doing, really. Like, I know I'm doing something wrong. Like, I'm not stupid. But it was making me feel good, you know? So anyway, by that point, after the second weekend with this girl, I went back to my ex and we just carried on as normal. And then we had a bit of an argument. I don't really remember what sparked it, but I think I was saying to her, you know, that I don't feel happy and I just don't feel good with the way things are, and I think we need to change some things. And because we had a lot of plans to travel in Japan, but they all got cancelled as soon as we got there because she was worried about the
Parents.
heat.
Oh, the heat. Okay.
Well, the heat and
the
her parents, yeah. So, because the parents were like, why would you want to go there? Why would you want to go here? Like,
Yeah.
you know, stay with us. So anyway, we had a bit of an argument, and as well, the argument came up because I'd stopped wearing these tights on my arms. I was just too hot, man. And then she was like, look, my parents have mentioned you're not wearing this, you're not covering up your tattoos. And at that point, I was like,
over it.
yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, to be honest, I'm too hot, and I'm not wearing them. How about that? I was like, your parents should respect me and my identity and who I am. Like, this isn't some Nazi tattoo, you know. I got this one is for my granddad that passed away. And then the whole thing came up of like, oh, well, you're disrespecting my parents. Then I'm like, well, they're disrespecting me. And then it was basically like, well, you need to leave, Dan.
Yeah, right.
So they asked me to leave the house. And I had nowhere to go.
Your ex or the parents or both?
Well, it was my ex that said it, but I don't know if her parents had said it. I don't know. I'm not sure. So at the time, I was a little bit sort of annoyed at the time, and I was put all my stuff in the bag. I was like, right then, I'm gonna go. So I packed my bag and I left. And as soon as I left, I was like, wow, I've been kicked out. I was like, I don't even know where to go. So I got a hotel in Tokyo, and I spent the night there on my own. It was a pretty tough night. But then somehow we was on these terms of like, oh, like we'll sort it out when we get back from Japan. Like that's the vibe that we had with each other. Like I was like, all right, maybe we will. And then I hit a point after staying in that hotel on my own, because it was really I felt really lonely. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this holiday for what it's worth. Called that girl back up. I said, look, I'm going to go traveling around the south of Japan. Do you want to come? She was like, yeah, I'll come. So that's what we did. So for the next couple of weeks, we went around Japan. I never really heard off my ex. Like, we wasn't really communicating, but also nothing was like we definitely hadn't broken up. Like, I can say that honestly, but we was going in an unknown direction because, you know, there was conflict between me and her parents. I've been kicked out the house. Like, I didn't really know what was going to happen at that point. So I enjoyed the holiday for what it was worth. And then I, towards the end of the trip, me and my ex and my daughter met up on the last day that I was in Japan. So this is like mid 2022.
Yep.
We met up on the last day, and you know, we got a hotel together, and it was nice and whatever. And she, you know, she had a feeling. She was like, Dan, have you done something while you've been like away? And I remember how she looked at me. Like, I'll never forget the way she looked at me. She looked at me already knowing the answer to this question. And I said to her, I was like, I did. I was like, I did. I was like, and I knew, I'd done something wrong. Like, I'd made a mistake. And then she said to me, she was like, for us to continue, I need you to block and delete this person straight away. And my head was so scrambled that I didn't really know what was right or wrong anymore. I was a mess. And as well, I couldn't believe that I'd actually done this to someone that I love, because I'd never done anything like that to her before. And I genuinely love this girl. And I love my daughter. I like, this is my family, and I love them. I would die for them. I'd kill for them. I'd do anything for them. But my feelings and my desires overpowered that at the time.
Yep.
And that was my mistake. I go back to Australia after seeing her for the last night, and she was upset. Was both pretty upset, but we wasn't done. Like, we was still in a relationship. She's got all the stuff back in Australia and everything. Most things.
Yep.
While I'm gone, I go back to Australia. And I know this from when she's visited Japan before. It's very, very hard for her to leave her parents. One, just because it's probably difficult in general, but two, because of what they're like. They're very difficult people. And I met them. I thought they was all right, but I could see that they were traditional. So I goes back to Australia, and then me and her are sort of talking here and there, and then she messages me and was like, look, I might stay in Japan a little bit longer. And I was like, well, why? I just need to. And I was like, okay. So left it as that for a week. I called her up. This was not long before she was actually due to come back. I called her up and I was like, when are you coming back? And she was like, I ain't coming back. It's like, I'm staying in Japan.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you can't. Like, you can't just stay in Japan. So no, I'm staying. I've got the daycare sorted. I've got everything sorted. My boss has said that when I can go back to work, I can just work from Japan. And now in Japan, to get things sorted, it takes a long time. There's a lot of paperwork because they do things the old way, despite people think their technology is great. So you've got the daycare sorted. She's like, yeah, I've got everything sorted. I'm staying in Japan. And at that point, I lost my soul really at that point. So I was begging her. I was like, please, come back to Australia with our daughter. You can't just stay in Japan. So her return tickets were cancelled, and she said she wasn't going to come back. So at that point, I go into fight or flight mode. So I'm like, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell everything that I own in Australia, the car, everything. I'm going to get my money together. I'm going to fly to Japan. I'm going to camp out in Japan, and I'm not leaving till I get my family back in Australia. I'm not leaving. So I spend a couple of months sorting this out. And now I go through something that I hope I never go through again. I'm living in our unit that was once full of all of our family stuff.
Mm.
And now I'm sleeping on an air mattress. I've just got an air mattress and I've got my kettle. Obviously,
Cup of tea.
nice cup of tea. So, and I stayed that way for about 6 weeks, where it was just me and my air mattress. Had nothing else. And all my friends that I thought I had here rarely turned up when I was going through this. Like, I had to call them, and I had no car, so well, you can come over if you want for a chat, but you have to get an Uber. Like nobody was there for me, man. I'd make plans with somebody, they'd break the plans. Oh yeah, sorry, like I don't remember, like where I'm from, I don't remember it. Like, we're not like that. Like I remember people being there for you, but yeah, people just wasn't there for me. I was completely alone. My family weren't here. And I actually walked myself to the hospital, to the uni hospital, because I live right near there. I walked myself there. I checked myself in. I was like, I need some help, because I don't trust myself to be with myself for too long. I need some help. And the hospital kept me waiting for, man, I was there hours before anything came. My mum was on the phone to me, my nan's on the phone. And then what happens is my dad, at this point, I tell my dad what's going on. I've told it, like, everything we're talking about, he knows. I spoke to him on the phone. We start to become close. We start to get really close. We're talking all the time on the phone because we got loads to talk about now. After the time that I spent on at this point, I'm completely beside myself. I'm losing all this weight. I'm not eating. I could not function as a person. And I'm gearing up to go to Japan. So after the time that I spent in my unit on my own, there wasn't really much left of me, to be honest. I was changed. So then my dad comes and picks me up, takes me to his place near Bribey. I stay with him for a few days, and we're just talking, man. We're just having tea. We're just talking, and he's talk like, this is the first time I've ever really had a man talk to me in a helpful way, of like some wisdom. So 1st of November 2022, after being back in Australia for about 2 months, I got nothing left. I just got my money. I fly to Japan, and I rent this this little Airbnb thing. It's smaller than this room. There's just a bed in it. It's dusty. This thing's a mess. This thing's crap. And then I'm there, and then my nan, who lives in England, my nan's like 75, my nan says, Dan, there's no way I'm going to let you go through this on your own. I'm going to fly to Japan.
No way.
My nan flies over to Japan, knows nothing about Japan, knows nothing about that side of the world. She flies to Japan. She meets me at the airport. I meet her at the airport. And we go back to this little place together. One of us in the bed, one of us on the floor. And we're camping out. I told my ex, I was like, right, I'm coming to Japan. I'm going to sort this out. And she's like, I don't want you to come to Japan. Do not come to Japan. I was like, well, I'm coming anyway. So I'm there in Japan. And then I'm calling my ex and messaging. I'm like, oh, when can I see the little one? And she's like, oh, maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. We'll see. I was like, okay. So for the first week that I'm in Japan, I'm very, very patient. And then it gets to a point where she's like, oh, no, sorry, you can't see her today. She's got a runny nose. You can't see her this. She's, she's running hot. Like all these little
Excuses.
things. And eventually I got to a point where I called my ex and I said, look, no more excuses. I said, kids always got these problems. I said, if we still lived together and she had a runny nose, I'd still be able to see her. So why has it changed? I said, you need to let me see my daughter. So I was like, I'll come down to yours and I'll come and see her. She's like, oh, you can't come near my house. So why not? It's like, because my parents. She was like, you cannot do that. I was like, all right, will you come to me? So, lo and behold, she did come with my daughter, come to my little place that I was renting. But, a different person showed up. Like the fun-loving girl that I was with had turned really cold. All of a sudden, she'd become like Japanese again. She had a face mask, head down, didn't want to say that much, like was really different. And me and my nan were looking at each other like, oh, what's going on, Who's this? So I got to spend, a couple of hours with my daughter, and then that, she went back home, and then there was a couple of like public holidays coming up in Japan, and my ex was like, oh, I might go out. Do you mind looking after the little one? And I was like, yeah. And I said to my nan, I was like, Nan, even if like she's just using me for a babysitter, like I'm all for it at this point. So, I got to see the little one quite a few times. And then I say to my ex, I'm like, look, let me take you out. Like, let me take you on a date. Like, let's go out, let's grab some food. Let's enjoy. She was like, I don't know about that. And in the end, she agreed. Went out for something to eat. We had a nice time. I said, oh, well, what do you think? Because I'm trying to bring him back. And I know that whether the relationship between me and her works or not, let's get back to Australia and make that decision. But until then, I gotta go romantic again. So, we had a nice date and stuff. And I said to her, oh, what do you think? And she was like, oh, yeah, it was good, but I can have a good date with anybody. Like, a bit cold, but I understood that she's probably a bit hurt as well, right? So I don't take it too seriously. We went for a walk, and I'm talking to her about having a dad and how important it is, and she says to me, she's like, I'll find a new dad for our daughter. And at the time, I didn't react to it because I didn't want to give her a reaction. But it cut me a lot, that one. For someone to say that, oh, I'll just get her a new dad. Like it's a pair of shoes or something. So at this point, I'm getting to see my daughter every, say, twice a week.
Yep.
While I'm in Japan. And then I knew that I had to get through the barrier of her parents.
Yep.
Because she says to me, she's like, Dan, I can't leave Japan. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, my parents. She's like, I don't want to disappoint them by leaving again because they're so happy. They're like, our daughter's here and it makes them so happy. They're loving it. They're happy again. And I was like, yeah, but what about me? Yeah,
right.
What about me? She says, her dad, right? She says, Dan, my dad said to me that if our daughter leaves Japan before they die, he's going to kill himself. Now, to me, I look at that and think, yeah, of course you are. But imagine if your mum and dad said that to you. Like, and being like submissive, as Asian people are, like it's just their culture to their parents. she was like, yeah, I ain't leaving Japan. And I was like, well, I'd wrote a letter to her parents. Or I had someone help me, got it all done in Japanese. Went and brought a gift, and I was like, look, will you let me come to your house and talk to your parents? And she was like, so Dan, I don't want them to know you're in Japan, because they didn't know I was in Japan again. And I was like, why not? I was like, because they don't want you to have a relationship with your daughter. It's just normal over here. I was like, okay. So, but just tell them that I'm here. Ask them if I can come round. Just give me a chance. So I come round with this letter, this nice gift. We're all sitting on the floor in a circle. And man, her parents were way different to when I met them the first time I went to Japan. They were vicious.
Wow.
They were smashing me with questions, pointing at me, like, you know. And my daughter, she was crawling at the time. She crawled towards me.
And they stopped it?
And they grabbed her. And her mum said, Max's mum, no. You can't go to him.
Wow.
And at that point, I kind of was realizing that I've got a bigger problem on my hands here. A bigger problem. So I beg and plead. I give them this letter. I give them these gifts, and they just throw the gifts to the side. We don't want your gifts. So I leave the house, and I achieve nothing really. Nothing's been achieved at this point. So then I start researching on like the Hague Convention and stuff like that, because somebody had mentioned it to me. Someone said, Dan, have you heard of the Hague Convention?
How long had you been in Japan for now before we talk about Hague Convention?
At that time, a few months.
Okay.
So this is
from when you first flew there, and then she hasn't returned home. How long has she been in Japan? Your ex and your daughter.
From when?
From when you start thinking about the Hague Convention.
So we would have been 4 or 5 months.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Yep.
So someone mentions about the Hague Convention, and I start researching about what that is and stuff like that. And I had mentioned it maybe to my ex or something. And then my ex gave me this parenting plan that she'd got written up from, I don't know where it came from. Well, she actually told me that her boss helped her.
Was it in English or?
Yeah, it was in English. Yeah. And I could tell that it had been written in English from the start, because if it's been translated, I could tell 100%.
Yeah.
So this parenting plan was like, I want X amount of money a month. I have sole rights, sole custody, sole this. I live in Japan. You don't use Hague or anything. And I was like, I'm not signing that. I was like, you're basically stripping me of my rights as a father and turning me into an ATM. I was like, no way I'm signing that. Oh, well, what can I do to make you sign it and stuff like that? I was like, trust me, I'm not signing it. There's nothing you can do. So I'm still in Japan, but things, for some reason, things are not that bad between us. I actually feel like I might be getting somewhere. Because when I first got there, she wouldn't let me see my daughter. She didn't really want to see me or nothing. And after that, she started to open up a bit and spend a bit more time with us. She then says to me, she's like, look, if you want to be with us, she always said us. So if you want to be with us, then stay in Japan. She said, but I don't know what you're going to do for a visa. And once you've sorted that out, you need to work hard. She said, you may work 12 hours a day, day and night. You may never see us, but I want you to work hard and prove that you want to be a part of the family. I was like, okay. I was like, but isn't me coming here and doing
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
Am I not already doing that? Like,
Mm.
like I've come here for you and my daughter. So then, she's like, you can live here. You can live with me and our daughter. My dad said he'll help us. He'll buy us a washing machine. I was like, great. So that's just beautiful. I'm like, he's only saying this because he doesn't want our daughter to leave Japan. So they know there's a chance that I might be able to take my daughter back to Australia. So they're doing everything they can to try and maybe say, all right, well, Dan stays in Japan then. And I knew, like, my nan said to me, like, because my nan's with me in Japan. My nan's like, Dan, if you stay here with them, under their control, because that's what it's going to be.
Mm.
If you think you feel crap now, you're going to feel even worse. Because this ain't going to be good. So look at all these conditions.
Mm. Do you reckon she knew that you were always going to be fucked? Like she had the upper hand, the upper card, I would say, knowing that you're not from Japan, you're not a citizen, you'd have to start the whole process again in regards to visas. You reckon she had that? She knew she had that bit of a power play up her sleeve.
Yeah, well, they'd set me up for a goal I was never going to meet.
That's right.
Like, oh, you can stay in Japan, but I'm not going to help you with the visa. You need to work hard and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, well, how am I going to do all that? Like, yeah, I might be able to stay here and do something, but like you're asking like way too. Like I can't. It's unachievable. Like I can probably come over as a student, but I can't just come over here and work. And if you're not going to help me, really, it's like, well, what am I going to do? So I said to her, I was like, look, I'm going to go to England with my nan. I'm just going to spend some time with my family. And I was at a point in Japan through like her parents and everything. I was like, I got to get out of here. I've got to get out of Japan for a bit because it's just too much. I'd been there a couple of months pretty much. But so I flew to England with my nan, spent some time with my family. It was all good, no problem. She did FaceTime me with my daughter like a few times, maybe once a week or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I was seeing that part. Was that on 60 Minutes? Was that part?
That was something different,
okay.
but it was
We'll
it was a similar thing. Yeah, just a different time. So I goes back to England for a bit, and then I'm meant to come back to Japan, and I called her up and I said to her, I was like, look, I'm not coming back to Japan. I was like, I'm not gonna be controlled by what your parents' needs are, and I'm not gonna be like controlled in the sense of like, oh, you know, you have to work day and night, you have to prove this, you have to prove that. When I already felt like I was doing those things. Like, so after England, I flew back to Japan for a day just because I had a ticket to go back there. Just stayed in a hotel. And then I flew back to Australia. And I was like, okay, now what do I do? I actually landed and I ended up staying at my dad's for a bit. Because by that time now, me and my dad, we're close. We're really good mates now. Because we got a lot of things in common. We got loads in common. We both moved to Australia at some point from England because he's English. And now, like, I'm having problems with my ex and seeing my daughter. And, you know, he had his own problems with that as well. I don't know too much about that, but you know, we're talking a lot. So I come back to Australia, we're talking and whatever, and then he gives me a bit of work for a bit. So I'm working with him for a couple of months, and I was actually planning to leave Australia after like a month of being back. I'll come back for a month or so, and then I'm going to leave and see what's next. I only really came back because I had my citizenship ceremony.
Yep.
So I had to come back for that. I was actually thinking to move back to England because I was like, I just want to be around my family because like I'm lost, I'm broken. Like, I really want my family support, you know. So I come back to Australia. A couple of months pass, and at this point, the long distance relationship between me and my ex and my daughter was good. Video calls every couple of days, like things were great. However, the only thing was that when I would call my ex and say, "Oh look, you know, what do you think about coming back to Australia? Like, I'll set everything up, like just like I did before." She was like, "I ain't coming back." Like she just wasn't coming back. Doesn't matter what I asked, what I did, what I said, what I promised. She's not coming back. I call the Hague Convention.
Yep.
And I said, "Look, this is my situation. This is what I got going on." And they're like, "Japan." They're like, "Dan, we can lodge an application for Japan, but the issue is they're non-compliant. They've signed the Hague Convention, but it has to be enforced. It has to be enforced locally by their local law as well. So the issue is you could go for a Hague Convention and win the thing, but no one in Japan's going to enforce it to send them back. There's no enforcement there for it."
And this is good that you bring this up because a lot of listeners, I didn't face Hague Convention. I was looking at it at one point, but anyway. But I've had some guests on previously, Hague Convention. But obviously, again, depending what country they're in, have different factors. So, for example, Japan, and I only just learned about this when I seen it on 60 Minutes, but yeah.
Well, imagine it's the equivalent of like, say you're meant to see your daughter on a Saturday, and you know you've got a court order to see her on Saturdays, and Saturday comes and Mum says, "No, you're not seeing her today." Who's going to drag your daughter out the house? No one. No one's going to do nothing.
No, that's right.
So it's the equivalent of that. So the Hague said to me, they was like, "Look, Dan, is there any chance of you two working this out amicably and potentially getting back together?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." That's what I believed, right? I was like, "I believe I can do that." There was like, "Do that first, because that's your best option." It's like, we have never ever had a single return back from Japan. I was like, right, okay. So I spend some time just working here in Australia, FaceTiming my daughter, just being the nice dad, you know, just trying to do the right thing. And then it hits a year that she's been in Japan. So the year mark comes up. And all of a sudden, I've gone from getting video calls every other day to like once every 2 weeks.
I know where you're going. This is the 12-month rule.
12-month rule.
Which I just learned about this from another guest.
Yeah, so the rule of Hague is that where the child has resided in the last 12 months is their usual place of residence.
Because they're settled.
So once that 12-month mark hits, that door is shut. So I go then from having all these video calls all the time to like once every 2 weeks. It's a bit scattered here and there. And all this time, I'm being Mr. Friendly. I'm saying, "Look, I want you to come back. I love you. I'll do anything." And then I had a chat with my dad. And he basically said to me, he was like, "Dan, look." He was like, "You need to do something. Because at the moment, she's got nothing to come back to. So why would she come back? Because I'm staying at his." I'm like, he's right. I'm like, why would she come back when I'm living at my dad's? Doesn't make sense. So I went and got my own place. And mate, I filled this place. And it looked like a family place to live. We brought all new stuff, man. This thing was perfect. Called my ex and I was like, I got a place. Like, when do you come and visit? And sorry, just to backtrack because I missed something.
Yeah, right.
So before this happened, before the year mark happened, I called her up once and I said to her, I was like, look, why don't you come and visit Australia? I was like, no pressure, no hassle, just come for a holiday. Go and see your mates, let me see my daughter, and I'll pay for your ticket there and back. I'll pay for everything. She was like, yeah, okay. So she actually came to Australia. She actually flew to Australia. And we spent like a week together as a family again.
Yeah.
And mate, we had the most beautiful week. Like, this was April. So this was about 3 months before the year mark.
Oh, okay. Yep. Before
Right.
the 12-month mark
Before
came
the
up.
12-month mark. So she came back. And mate, she was the girl that I remembered.
Back to normal.
Back to normal. She was like...
Not ice cold.
Not ice cold. It was perfect. We spent a really good week together. It was just like it was before. It was just like nothing had ever happened. And even she said, she was like, oh, I'm back in Australia. I'm not even thinking about Japan. Like, oh yeah, Australia, you know. And I'm thinking, yeah, good. And even when she left, like, she was crying, I was crying. And I thought it's just a matter of time before she comes back. And that's when, you know, I spoke to my dad about me getting a place, got a place, filled it with stuff. I was like, right, you know, let's work this up. Told her I got a place, didn't really seem to matter. And then, yeah, as I mentioned before, like, the year mark hit. And then the relationship, my daughter just started to drift slightly. Like, again, it was every 2 weeks, maybe every 10 days. And I said to my ex, I was like, what's going on? What is going on? And she was like, her routine has changed. I was like, her routine has changed? What do you mean her routine has changed? And she said, well, now our daughter doesn't want to sleep without her parents being there. So she was like, so I can't call you at that time no more. And I was like, but if she was staying with me and my parents were in the room, I'd still call you. And she's like, yeah, but I can't let my parents know that you still have a relationship with your daughter.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be happy. And I can't go against them. I was like, okay. So at that point, I'm getting these calls every so often. Like, usually I'm getting a call every Saturday morning or something when she takes the little one for a walk.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where I actually get fed up of things being this way. So I started saying how I felt. For right or wrong, I started telling her how I actually feel. And I said to her, I was like, you legally cannot just take my daughter to another country and keep her there. Just because, whatever the reason is, let's say, all right, you don't want to be in a relationship with me. Okay. You don't want to live in Australia. Okay. But you can't just take a child to a different country because you want to do that. It doesn't work that way. It's against the law. And I said to her, I said, you have abducted my child. I said, you've taken her away from her country, her home, and you've kept her in Japan all because you don't want to upset your parents. And she's like, well, you cheated on me. I was like, okay, I did cheat on you. Fair enough. I cheated on you. That's bad, right? That's not good. And you know, that weighed heavy on me.
Yeah.
Because it it went against my values, especially now I'm a dad.
Yeah.
But I said to her, I was like, if I would have cheated on you in Australia, can't just pack your suitcase and move to Japan. We break up and we go through whatever we have to go through. But you can't just move back to Japan because we've broken up.
Right. Yeah.
If we would have went to Kenya and I cheated on you there and broken up there, would you have stayed in Kenya?
Exactly.
I don't think so. So just because it was in your home soil doesn't give you the right to stay there. And I say to, and I tell her these things, and I said it's criminal what you've done. I said you're a bad mom. I said she needs her dad. And then I said to her, and I was like, and you know, this is where things started to change a lot. I said to her, I'm going to use every resource possible to get my daughter back in Australia. So put your seatbelt on because I'm coming. And then after that, she wrote me some letter and was like, oh, you know, you're still the dad. Like, the letter said nothing, really. It was like, oh, yeah, you're still the dad. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but you are still the dad and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't change what you're doing. I'm still barely talking to her. You can write me a letter saying I'm a dad. I can write myself the same letter. I know I'm the dad. But you're not changing anything. You're just telling me things. It doesn't mean anything. So not long after that, she stops communicating with me altogether. I'm not blocked, but she stops communicating with me.
Yeah.
And she basically starts saying, oh, you know, I'm going to get a lawyer. And all this stuff. I was like, well, you don't need a lawyer. It's like, just come back. Just do the right thing. And then, not long after that, she completely blocked me. She blocked me, my family, everybody she blocked. And this was around Christmas time, 2023. So she blocks me. My daughter is she's 2 at this point. I'm blocked. My family's blocked. No one can get hold of her. Messaging, email, letters, pigeons, everything, nothing. Occasionally I would get an email from her saying, oh, you know, the Japanese Department of Mediation, Foreign Affairs or something, they'll provide this, they'll provide that.
No.
Nothing. So I try all these things. I'm contacting all these lawyers in Japan. I'm emailing them in groups and saying, look, I need some help. You know, my daughter's in Japan. They're like, sorry, we can't help you. Everyone, not one of them turned around and said, oh, let's talk more. Instant reply, no, we can't help you. So then I basically am thinking, like, what am I going to do? And then a couple of things start. So first thing I did was I set up a GoFundMe. And I was like, you know, and then like at this point, no one really knows what I'm going through, just my family.
Yeah.
Like, they know, you know, bits
Background
here and there, but they don't really know that much. They don't know the depth of it. And I start being quite public about what's going on. I'm putting stuff on Facebook and stuff like, so I'm really upset, you know, and I wanted some comfort. So I start this GoFundMe and I post the GoFundMe and picture of my daughter. You know, she's been kept in Japan without my consent. I need some help to fight this thing. And then I actually approached the company that I worked for at the time and said to them, I was like, look, I'm going through something. This is what I'm going through. This is my story. I said, I'm going to start a GoFundMe. Do you think we could share it around work? I spoke to the owners. I was like, yeah, we'll do that. I made work, that company got behind me 100%.
Oh, good on them.
And we raised about $5,000.
Yeah, nice.
So at that point, I got no contact with my daughter. I got a little bit of money, not too much. And I'm thinking, okay, now what do I do? So I went to see a lawyer in Brisbane, like a good lawyer, and tell them everything that that me and you have discussed.
Yeah.
They said, look, we can't really do that much. I was like, we can put your daughter on the watch list, so if she returns, like, she can't leave. But the thing is, you really only want to put her on the watch list once she's here, because if you put her on the watch list while she's somewhere else, you have to legally notify the other party. So it makes it irrelevant, because they're not going to come back if they know they're on the watch list.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. You'd have to be stupid,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm thinking, okay, now what do I do? And I'm researching all this stuff about the abductions in Japan. And I realised there's loads of us. There's all these other people that it's happened to before me. There's a 60 Minutes thing before mine. There's articles everywhere about kids being taken to Japan and them not getting returned. So I reach out to one of these parents, and we're called left behind parents, right?
Yep.
That's the term that's used. So I reach out to one of these left behind parents, and I say to him, I said, look, what you've gone through, I'm going through it as well. He calls me, we have a chat. He's Australian, he lives in Japan. And then, mate, I start opening up a massive can of worms. Little did I know that there's loads of parents in the same position as me with Japan. Exactly the same. And I'm thinking, wow, now I really have got a big problem on my hands. I start looking about who's writing all these articles. I keep seeing the same name, Eric Bagshaw, writes on Japan. So I contact Eric and I message him and I say, Eric, I've read your articles. I've seen your 60 Minutes thing, because he works for the Sydney Morning Herald, which is somehow connected to 60 Minutes. I don't know how it all works. And I messaged him and I'm like, Eric, my daughter's been kept in Japan without my consent, like she's been abducted. Like, I've seen you've wrote all these stories and whatever. And he's like, Dan, I'll call you in a couple of days. I'm literally about to write a new story on this. He's like, you've walked in at a time. Yeah. So he calls me and I tell him my story, and he's like, okay, well, we're going to drop an article soon. And this was like, this is sort of around Christmas time, 2023. By this time, I started to connect with about 20 or 30 people that the same thing has happened to. A lot of them are Australian. Some of them are not. So, for example, a guy in the Sunshine Coast.
Yep.
2 kids,
Yep.
half Japanese. His ex-partner says, just going to go on a holiday to Japan with the kids.
Be right back.
Be right back. 6 years later, hasn't heard a peep. Knows nothing. Speak to a couple of Australians that live in Japan, and basically what had happened to them, relationship bit rocky. They go to work, they come home, their apartment's empty, their kid's gone. This situation has happened multiple times. And the reason why this keeps happening is because Japan only has sole custody. There's no joint custody in Japan. It doesn't exist. So the rule in Japan is this: the person who gets sole custody of the child is the person who is last with the child. So it creates an incentive to run off with the child when things go wrong.
It's an incentive.
Yeah. It's an incentive just for them to run off.
So it's the last person with the child.
The last person that is with the child will get full custody of the child. So imagine you live in a country or you're from a country where you only know sole custody, your relationship's crap, you know that the last person who's going to be with the child gets custody, what are you going to do? You're going to run. You're going to wait for your chance. You're going to take your child and you're going to go. You're going to go. So all these people, their child has just been taken from them and there's nothing that they can do because Japan only has sole custody. You know, there's been a big push for them to change that, which, you know, I know we're going to get into that. But so I'm talking to all these parents and, mate, they're telling me horror story after horror story about Japan and how it works. And they're telling me what it's like, the lawyers over there and stuff like that. And one guy that I know, he went through court in Japan. He went through all the processes to try and get custody of his, try and get some sort of custody with his daughter and stuff like that. I think he's got 2 daughters actually. He went through the court, spent all the money, did all the things, spent all the time. He was granted that he was allowed to send 2 letters a year to his kids.
Yeah, I don't even know the words.
Like, they can't send him letters, just so you know. He's allowed to send them 2 letters a year. And, of course, it's not enforced anyway. Why would it be? It's ridiculous to start with. He doesn't know where they live or anything. So then I start hearing all these stories about DV claims in Japan, about what a DV claim looks like over there and how the lawyers actively push to lodge a DV claim. So so I'm not really sure how it works in Australia, but
Sounds the same already.
right. But in Japan, you can basically walk into a police station and say
XYZ.
he's dangerous.
The same here.
Right? Sign the form. That's it. It's in place now. I don't know about here, but in Japan, it's indefinite. It cannot be removed.
Oh, okay.
It's for life.
Yeah, here it's 5 years.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, wow. So can that person appeal it, do you know?
no appeals, no nothing. It's indefinite.
Wow.
So then now, I'm thinking like, wow, I'm in trouble. Because the last conversation that I had with my ex over the phone, when she called me, just before she blocked me, she says, Dan, I'm worried that you're going to come and kill my parents. I was like, what? Like, I'm one of the, I'm a pretty soft guy as well, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, you do know that's not true, right? She's like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, well, so do you think that I can just come to Japan, kill your parents, and then walk out the door with my daughter and grab an ice cream? Like,
Yeah.
no one's going to think that way, especially not.
I think she generally doesn't think that way. She's just saying it.
Yeah, I mean, of course. So anyway, I'm starting to connect with all these groups of people that have been in the news and that before about all the stuff in Japan. I decide, this is February 2023. So I decide, right, the stories just came out in the Sydney Morning Herald about, you know, my daughter and the whole abduction thing. Said, so now, you know, my GoFundMe, like, did pretty well. I was pretty happy with that. So I thought, right, I'm going to fly to Japan. And I'm just going to turn up and see what happens. So this is like, yeah, it's February 2023. I book a ticket. It's about a year ago now, actually. I book a ticket. I fly out to Japan. And one of the guys from another article meets me, like, in his hometown. He's Australian. He's lived in Japan years, this guy. I've never met him before, but he said, Dan, come over. You crash at mine. You do what you need to do. Help you out when I can. All good. And he's an English teacher. He teaches English in Japan.
Okay.
And he's allowed near all these kids. Well, he's not allowed near his own.
Yeah.
You know? What does that say?
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I flew to Japan. I meet this guy. I'm camping at his, on his floor. And then I'm about 2 hours from Tokyo, where my ex lives. because I know she still lives with her parents.
Yep.
Just before I fly to Japan, I get an email from the project, like Channel 10. And they say, oh, you know, we're doing a story on Japan and the custody laws and all this. Like, we've seen you GoFundMe, we've seen your article. Like, do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, well, I'm just about to go to Japan. So I've actually planned on like recording everything anyway and making like my own thing. I was like, sweet. I was like, record everything, send it to us, and we'll put it together. Like, what's your story? I was like, well, I'm going to Japan to try and see my daughter. So I flew to Japan. I goes down to Tokyo, and it's cold, man. It's winter. It's snowing. It's brutal. So I know where she lives, and I know where my daughter's childcare is, because ironically, one of the times I was there when things were not too bad, I had a picture of it. Just by luck, I probably took it by accident, and I had a picture of the name, the sign. So I know where she lives. I know where the daycare is. So I'm like, right, what I'm gonna do is between the times that people go to daycare and come home, I'm just gonna go for a walk around and see if I can bump into them. So I goes to the shop, and I brought my daughter a bag of gifts, her favourite toys, Ampan Man, big pink bag. You know, Ampan Man's are really like popular.
Popular over there.
Yeah, it's like children's, it's like Bluey or something. I'm day and night outside this daycare and stuff. Like I'm hanging around with my bags covered in snow. I'm really camping out. And it's getting towards the end of my trip. The Australian embassy in Tokyo invited me down to have a conversation with them. And I'm having a chat with them, and I'm saying, look, this is my situation. And they're like, look, Dan, we know your situation. We know what happens here. We can't do anything. It's like, we literally can't do anything. And I was like, what do you mean you can't do anything? I was like, because of the laws in Japan. They don't allow us to do anything. Because your ex has got sole custody of the child. And I was like, but we haven't been to court. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, but you were never married. And I was like, yeah. I was like, so the rule is in Japan as well, that if you're never married, then again, whoever's with the child automatically gets custody. And because we wasn't married in Japan, so my daughter has my surname here and in every country in the world, apart from Japan.
Wow.
Because in Japan, if you're not married at the time you have a child, the surname is automatically that of the mom's.
So even on the passport, has your...
So on the passport, it's got my daughter's first name, my ex's family name, but then in brackets, it's got my name in like a small bracket.
What passport did she fly over on there? The Australian one or a Japanese one?
She flew over, as far as I'm aware, on an Australian passport, but my daughter's got a British passport, an Australian passport, and a Japanese passport.
So the Japanese one says it in brackets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, to get a Japanese passport, it only requires the signature of the mum. Yeah. So in Australia, like, you know, typically it requires both parents. In Japan, one. Just one. I mean, I was okay with her getting a Japanese passport because, like, at the time, I was like, I want my daughter to have all the passports. I want her to do whatever she wants to do. Like, let's give her all the...
To give a good life.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of worked against me in the end. So I fly to Japan, and I'm getting to the end of my trip now where I have to do something because I haven't seen my daughter. I've waited at the daycare. I've waited at the house, like sort of out the house. So I decided, like, this is it. I gotta just knock the door. So I knock on the door, and I know her parents are inside the house. My daughter's definitely not there because you would hear her. Walls in Japan are literally made of paper. Yeah. So I'm knocking the door, no answer. And I noticed there's a new shiny little camera in the corner.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, was that camera there before? So I go back on my photos
Not there.
to see if I got a photo of the house, and I find one. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't there before, so they've installed it. Okay, cool. So I leave their house after them not answering, and as I leave the house, the police are driving down a different entrance, and I'm like, I think they must have called the police. So this was in the morning. This was like a Friday morning, and I leave on like Sunday or something. So then in the afternoon, I decide to go back, and I take someone I know with me who also is in the same situation as me. He's actually Colombian, but he lives in Japan, and he hasn't seen his 2 kids. He doesn't know where they are or anything. And he speaks perfect Japanese, this guy. So this guy agrees to come with me. I'd never met him before. I've got my certificate. It's called a koseki, which proves in Japan that I am the dad. Now, typically in Japan, if you have a child and you're not married again, the dad normally isn't registered. But because I had a COVID thing where I needed a special thing to travel to Japan, I got put on there, which was great. So I didn't realize how important that was until like recently. So I said to this guy, I was like, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the childcare. We're going to ring the bell, and we're just going to see if she's there. I'm the dad, or I can prove it here. We go to the daycare. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Soon as my finger presses that button, 8 police officers jump out of the van and surround me. And I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. So 8 police officers just jump out of this van. And then my mate says to me, the guy I was with, he said, look, he said, what's happened is this. Your ex or her parents have called the police earlier, and now they're camping outside places. So if you turn up, they're going to get you. They're like, he said to me, he warned me, because the police officers don't speak English. So he warned me, and they're surrounding us. He was like, you don't have to say anything, but they're going to try and get you to the police station. You don't have to do anything. Trust me, I've been down this road. So they're trying to get me to the police station. They're questioning while I'm there. They're like, oh, we've heard you're dangerous. They've heard all this stuff. I was like, well, I'm not coming with you to the police station. And my mate said to me, he was like, look, you need to be careful here, because what the Japanese police do is they can hold you in retention for 23 days for no reason. So sometimes they do it just to make an example out of you. Or sometimes they'll do it. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll check your visa. And if you've got less than 23 days, they'll throw you in for 23 days, and then you'll get a 5-year ban for overstaying your visa. Very common in Japan.
Wow.
And Japan has like a 99.1% conviction rate. So if you get done with through anything in Japan, like, you're getting done for it for sure.
Jeez, I've never been to Japan. There's always a place I want to visit, but I'm not too sure if I want to go there anymore.
Yeah, well, there's a big misconception about Japan. Like, yeah, there's some great things about the country, but when you're visiting, there's always great things to find about any country. You know, you could go to a war-torn country and find something great about it, because you don't live there. You're not embedded in the society.
Yeah,
you know?
true.
So these police officers surrounding us, they're trying to ask us questions and all this, and they basically say, look, we want you to agree not to go near the house or the daycare. And I was like, well, if I need to walk past it for any reason, because that's the direction I'm going in, then I can't promise that. So anyway, they ended up leaving. We ended up just forgetting about it. And then we went back to my ex's parents' house, and we just left the bag of toys on the door. So then we left it. That was the end of my trip. No success. Didn't see my daughter. I went home crying my eyes out. Sent all the stuff, all the material, all the videos that I recorded to the project. They was like, all right, well, give us a month and we'll put it on. And then they said, but, we have to contact your ex. I was like, cool. That'd be great. I hope she picks up because she doesn't pick up to me.
Yeah.
I'm blocked. So they contact her and they say, look, we're doing this thing on TV. Like, what have you got to say? She doesn't say anything or whatever. Then about a week before it's meant to go on TV, I get an email from what appears to be now her lawyer. So she's got a lawyer, and her lawyer's based in Australia. So I was like, and they're basically threatening me with defamation if this thing goes on TV.
Mm.
And Eric had warned me from the articles. He's like, man, threats, nothing. And then they actually said to me, because then I got a lawyer.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, let's go. Then we got communication now. Let's go. And I was like, I'm going to let this thing go on TV unless you do the right thing and reinstate the relationship with me and my daughter, a meaningful one. And then, she started making excuses about, putting this on TV compromises the child's privacy and all this. I'm like, no, it doesn't. She lives in Japan. Like, what are you talking about? You're talking crap. So this thing goes on TV, and then I start getting more letters from her lawyer. Oh, it was wrong and all this, but they say, oh, we're not going to pursue it any further. I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. So then my lawyer's working hard with her lawyer, and her lawyer has spoke to my lawyer on the phone and agrees, said, look, we're trying to convince this girl to reinstate the relationship with Dan and his daughter. But she's been so stubborn that even we as lawyers, and we're like...
You're shocked.
Like, they're shocked. So they end up convincing her to give me a 10-minute video call every week. And we asked for 2 video calls a week.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, I'll give you 1. And I was like, at the time, I was super happy because I was like, it's worked. The public pressure has finally got me somewhere. She wasn't responding to my texts, my emails, my letters, my mum's, my nan's, all these people trying to reason with her. She didn't give a shit. She didn't care about us. But now, all of a sudden, she's starting to look bad publicly. She hates it. And, most people don't want to look bad. But people in Japan, they don't ever want to look bad in any situation, ever. They need to save face at all times. So I'm getting this 10-minute video call every week, and my lawyer then is trying to work with her lawyer. Next thing I know, she drops her lawyer. And we send over, this was at the time, where we send over a parenting plan, basically saying, look, Dan gets this amount of phone calls every week. He gets to see his daughter this many times a year. He gets photos, he gets videos. And, he gives you some money in child support. It was pretty fair. Like, it was a fair one. Then she says, oh, I'm looking for a new lawyer. And then next thing I know, she's got this lawyer, this Japanese lawyer. And I knew straight away, I was like, man, this is going to get bad now. So she got this Japanese lawyer. But before this happens, like before the communication really starts, I get a call from 60 Minutes. And they say, Dan, we're doing another thing on Japan because Japan has just changed the law and now you can have joint custody. So we're going to do a 60 Minutes thing on it. The new law in Japan with joint custody, it's not what it reads on the headline. What it is now in Japan, you're allowed joint custody if both parents agree. Well, if both parents agree, you don't need to go and get joint custody anyway.
That's right.
You're just mutual. So it doesn't make sense. So what Japan have done, amongst all the pressure, is they have changed the law to joint custody if both parents agree. Well, what if they don't?
Yeah, that's right. Crazy.
It's stupid.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Bit.
It doesn't make
60
sense.
minutes, yeah.
60 Minutes come round the house. I do my interview with them, and I do it because not because I'm trying to shit on my ex or something. It's not about that at all. The reason why I've done those things is because if I ever get blocked or removed from seeing my daughter for however many years it be, I've left a trail of breadcrumbs as to the work that I've done to prove how much effort I've made and how much I still love and care about her. Because, you Google my name or something and go to the images and you'll see the article there. That's what I need. So that if she's older and I've not spoken to her for whatever reason, it's clearly there what dad has done.
She'll see the paper trail.
She'll see the paper trail. Mum may have said, oh, is this, is that, is dangerous or whatever. But look, just go and look. It wasn't the case. So I did the 60 minutes thing, and then someone must have sent it to her because she sees it and, whoa, was she upset? Because someone she knows must have watched it and said, shit, I seen you on 60 Minutes last night. So at that point, she actually unblocks my dad and starts talking to him. And then he sets up for me and her to have a conversation over the phone. So me and her, it's like June, July last year, we actually talk on the phone for the first time in forever. And she's basically saying, oh, you're dangerous to me and I got to think this way. I got to protect you and all this. What have you done? You went on TV. You did all this stuff. What about the privacy? And she's saying, no, every time I walk somewhere, I feel like everyone knows who I am and they're watching me. And someone's going to take my daughter off me and stuff like this. And I'm like, well, first of all, like, I'm not your enemy. I was like, I actually still care about you, believe it or not. Despite everything, I actually still care about you. You may not believe that, and that's okay. But I actually care about you. You are the mother to my child. And I can't erase that, unfortunately. And I had some good years with you. I still care about you. I still love you. I still support you. I don't agree with some of the things you've done, but we all make mistakes. Me too. Differences I can admit to mine, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So then we talk on the phone and I'm like, I'm getting somewhere now, steps. And then she gets this new lawyer. I send over again my parenting plan to her lawyer. He was like, oh, we're going to review it or whatever. He comes back with a completely different parenting plan. And mate, this thing, no one in a million years is going to agree to this.
Yeah.
So just to outline it. So we want $30,000. We want $600 a month. And in return, you get to see your daughter for 1 week a year, for 1 hour a day, in a facilitated contact center.
Supervised contact center.
Supervised contact center, right.
Over there or here?
In Japan. And
I'll stop you there.
yeah.
This is what I want people listening. So this is controlling. Here's the carrot. Or using your daughter as a carrot, respectfully. Someone's dangling a carrot. You want the carrot, 30 grand cash, and you can only see the carrot for 1 hour a day, supervised. Like,
That's right. So
that says it all there.
yeah. So I basically, like, between me and everyone was like, man, we thought we was getting somewhere, and then they've sent that.
It's emotional roller coaster up and down.
And I was like, you've got no chance of me signing that. That's stupid. And then it even says that none of my family can see my daughter until she's 10. They'll review it when she's 10. She's just turned 3.
Yeah.
My nan may not be around by then.
So they want 30 grand a year.
They want 30 grand as a one-off.
One off.
And then they want
600 a month.
600 a month, you know, and then rise.
And you get 7 hours a year visit time. 7 hours, yeah, in a year. Because
Yeah.
even though it says a week, you only get 1 hour supervised.
Yeah, that's right. And it did say as like a clause in there, but you know, that, you know, if she has to work over that day or she's sick, then you don't get to see her. Like, so basically, you get an hour a day, maybe. Like, you might get the hour, but you might not get the hour. It's not confirmed. The money that you have to give us is confirmed, but the visitation is just if she feels up for it, if she feels nice enough to do that for me. So then things just start taking a turn, and I'm battling with this. I dropped my lawyer because I'm fed up of spending money on it for no reason, and I just go and do it myself. So then I'm going back and forth with this lawyer, and just to drop this in, the way the lawyers work in Japan is this. So you hire the lawyer, you pay a retention fee, whatever it be, and then what they do, the lawyer, is once the retention fee runs out, is the lawyer drops their rates to keep the client, and then they have what's called a success fee. So a success fee means that I will get you what you want, and in return, you pay me the success fee. So let's say it's, I don't know, 20% of the 30 grand or something. I don't know what it looks like. And then they also get, I think it's up to 30% of the monthly payment that I give for child support. They take a cut of that indefinitely. So the lawyers in Japan, like, their incentive is to get as much money out of you as possible, keep as much conflict as possible, so that they can earn more money. More conflict, more money.
Drag it out.
Simple. It's common sense. So this guy has got no intentions of resolving the issue at all. And then, you know, knowing my ex like I do, or like I did, I know what should, like, hierarchy, Japanese system, is a lawyer. What he says, that must be right. I'll go with what he says. Oh, he thinks he can get me the 30 grand. He thinks he can get me. So then now, like, we're running up to, like, you know, this Christmas 2024, and I'm getting my 10-minute video call a week. In August of last year, I flew to Japan just because I felt like it.
Yep.
I knocked on the door again of her parents, and, you know, nothing came of it. But she'd actually moved out now. My ex had moved out, and she's moved somewhere else. I don't know where she lives. She lives with my daughter somewhere. I don't know. But I know she's moved out because she told me over the phone.
Okay.
So I go to Japan in August, and I'm like, look, I'm here. I'm here to see my daughter. When can I see her? Name your date, and I'll see her that day. And the lawyer comes back to me and was like, oh, you know, we can't let you see your daughter until there's a plan in place regarding, you know, visitation and all this. I'm like, well, why didn't you sign the one I sent you then? Like they sent the plan that they sent me. They sent that to me knowing I wouldn't sign it. They knew I wouldn't sign it. My ex knows I don't just have 30 grand in my pocket ready to pull out.
Yeah.
She knows that. My dad even said to us, like, he said to us, like, what you've sent Dan is pretty bad, and you know he doesn't have 30 grand, right? And she messaged him back and says, well, tell him to get a loan.
Yeah.
So then I'm in Japan, and basically I decided to sort of host an event, and all the parents that have not been able to see their kids because of Japan and had their kids taken, we all meet up in Japan. We hire this room, we all meet up in Japan, and we get it's like the pro joint custody Japanese member of parliament came. Well, we managed to get her to come. We're all sitting around, we're sharing stories, we've got people linked in, from around the world, and we're just sharing stories and stuff, and we all just connect. And, you know, I leave Japan in August, and that was pretty much the trip. Didn't get to see my daughter again, but what I realised is that the community, like, as much as I don't wish anybody to be in the same position as me, I'm glad I'm not going through it on my own.
Yeah, that's right.
The community of people, like, we just all just shared stories and just chatted, and we recorded the whole thing. I think there's like a documentary coming out sometime. Yeah, and so I go back to Australia. I've still got the 10-minute video call every week. It's going well, but we're just not progressing. And then I get an email just before Christmas, and the email basically said, if you don't give us $10,000 by the 27th of December, we're going to cut the 10-minute video call a week off. Now, that actually breaks a law in Japan. It's like a kidnap for ransom law. So I emailed back, and I know this because of the community that I have of people. This community of people, man, awesome. They're better than the lawyers. They know everything. They've been through it all. So I emailed back, and I'm like, do you realise you've just broken the law of what you've said? There's a bit of panic from my ex because she actually messages me directly. And I'm like, it's a breakthrough. I was like, I haven't had that for ages. She messages me and she was like, oh, how much can you pay every month? And I was like, I've told you, that depends on how much contact you give me with my daughter. Like, I'm more than willing to pay for my daughter. I can't wait to pay for her. But if you don't give me a reasonable contact and a meaningful relationship, then I'm not going to give you nothing. Because then I've got nothing to negotiate with moving forward. Like, let's just be fair. Like I'll give you the money. It's not a problem. Like, I'll give you the monthly payment. And I said to her, I was like, look, I'll even give you the $10,000. But I'll give you the $10,000 over 3 payments of a year. Just so I know that I'm getting what I'm paying for and that you're sticking to the agreement and that, you know, we can build a bit of trust off that. So we're going back and forth on a few messages. The messages stop. And then next thing I know, a week passes and I'm meant to have the video call with my daughter. Blocked again. So is my family again. Dad's blocked, everyone's blocked. So I call the number. I get somebody I know to call the number. And he says like, oh, is that the right number? Because it's disconnected. So I call it off like a private number. It's a Japanese number, obviously, but I can still ring it. And the number's been cut off, so she's changed her number. Now, what message does that send? Why would somebody do that? Because they don't want me to talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't want me to have a relationship with my daughter. That could be the reason. So now it's got to a point where I've got no contact with my daughter. I don't know where she lives. She's basically asking me to pay all this money. So what the last email that I got it said, before we can talk about visitation, we have to address the compensation claim. So this like one-off payment that she's chasing from me is for 2 things. One, it's backdated child support, and 2, it's for emotional distress.
Yeah.
Apparently, I've caused so much emotional distress.
Well,
so
the stress she's caused you.
Exactly. If I had to invoice for that, it's big.
Yeah,
big deal. Yeah,
very big.
So I said. So what I did is I took everything that they said.
Yep.
And I thought, right, I'm gonna create a new parenting plan. So I got somebody to help me. So this parenting plan, basically a mix of what I want and what she wants. Give me my phone calls. Let me come to Japan for a minimum 2 weeks a year, spend time with my daughter. Give me some photos, videos. Let me know where I can send some presents.
Yep.
Like, let me have some school reports. Let me see how she's doing. Like, send me an email, tell me what she likes, what she don't like, because I don't know anything about my daughter. And this goes back. So last Christmas, I brought my daughter a present for Christmas. No, it's for her birthday in October. I brought her a present, and I got her made like a little England soccer jersey with her name on the back and her birth, her number 3 because she's 3. And I sent it over, and I actually got my dad to send it. And I said, my dad was like, "Oh, I'll send it over because she was worried that I was going to put a tracker in it or something."
Yeah.
Fair enough. Like, that could happen. I mean, it would have been pointless because she would have found it and it moved. So
Yeah.
I send the gift over, and then she sends a message to my dad. "I'm not going to give you the gift. I'm not going to give our daughter the gift." I mean, that's like, why? It's like, I don't like the email that Dan sent to my lawyer, so I'm not going to give it to her. I don't care if she hates me when I'm older. I'm not giving it to her and all this sort of stuff.
Wow.
Like, where's the person that I once knew? Like, I was with a good person. I knew a really good person, a really good girl. I don't know where that's gone. So then I send this parenting plan over, and I basically said in this parenting plan, $10,000. I'll give you $10,000 over 3 payments of the year, and I'll give you, I don't know, it's like $400 a month, and yeah, give me minimum 2 weeks a year of my daughter. Give me 2 video calls a week, minimum 10 minutes. Give me some photos, give me some videos, and we owe this to our daughter now. Let's sign this and move on. And then her lawyer came back and was like, "Yeah, we can't accept this because it hasn't addressed the compensation for emotional distress." Thinking, man, you've asked for $10,000. I've offered you $10,000, and now you're saying you want more from her. The thing is with this guy, with these lawyers, he'll just keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, "Oh, we want 10 grand. All right, I'll give you 10 grand over 3 payments. Well, what about emotional distress? All right, I'll give you emotional distress payment too. How about that? Oh, but what about, like it just
never ends.
It just never ends. They
Always
just keep,
something more.
They just keep going and going and going. And now at this point, I've got no contact with my daughter. I got nothing. What I am doing at the moment, which is slim chance, I'm going through Hague for an access rights application. So with Hague, it's not just return orders. You can actually apply for access rights through Hague. So basically, what it entails is if your right as a parent has been denied and you've been denied access, you can apply through Hague to get access. And then they'll write up an affidavit and they'll send it to, in my case, Japan. Japan needs to accept it. And then it will probably go into some sort of like mediation, and we'll try and see if we can come to an agreement. And then if we can't, then it goes to court. But if it goes to court, that's when you have to start paying. You start paying big money.
Big money.
Like, yeah, I'm really about to turn over my last stone with this Hague thing, and look, it may go nowhere. But at this point, like, I actually don't know what else to do. I feel like I've done everything. I've done the GoFundMe, I've done the media, I've done the going to Japan door knocking, I've done the awareness, I've done everything. But this woman will just not see sense. And it's partially because look at the company that she keeps. She's in a country that doesn't believe in joint custody. She's in a country where she's treading over her parents, she's walking on eggshells around her parents. And her lawyers believes that they can get all this money out of me and all this stuff. And she's completely washed by it. And she's convinced probably that I am dangerous. She's convinced of all these things now. She actually believes the stuff that's coming out of her mouth. Like, she knows that I'm not dangerous. You know, there's a big difference between dangerous and desperate. Like, I'm not dangerous. I'm just desperate.
Yeah.
I just want to see my daughter.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
just a dad. I'm a desperate father trying to see his child. And man, I'm sure you can relate, but the way I feel on a daily basis because of this situation, I'm an eyelash of the person that I used to be.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I'm not the same at all. I'm anxious. I'm down.
There's an ache that never goes away.
Yeah, it's like I'm grieving for somebody
That's still alive.
that's still alive.
Yeah, I know.
And it's so
It's
hard.
shit. I want to wish it upon anyone.
Yeah.
And you try. I don't bother trying to explain to them because I just won't understand unless you're in it. You know.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, everywhere I go, I'm constantly thinking, I'd love to be with my daughter. Just go to the shops, grab some. I'd love if my daughter was here. You know, I want to buy her things, walk around. I want to show her things. Like, you know, I may never have wanted kids at the beginning, but now, like, my sole purpose is to be a dad. I would love nothing more than that. It's just to be that little girl's dad and do everything I can for her. But it's been taken away from me. Like, I don't have that. Will I get that in the future? I hope so. I pray for it, you know. One thing that I do believe, though, which nobody could ever take away from me, is, you know, I moved to Australia knowing nothing about the country or anything. After finding my dad on Facebook, my daughter will do the same. She will when she's older, she will 100% be coming to Australia to be with her dad. She was born here. Her birth certificate's from here. Her identity, a piece of her identity is here. She's going to want to explore that.
Yeah.
There's no question. And you look at countries, Japan in this example, you wouldn't want to live in Japan over here.
Yeah. After what you told me now, definitely not.
Yeah. The stuff that happens in Japan, it's not what people think. It's great to go and visit, go and have some sushi, everyone's polite and whatever. But you know,
Politics.
like, everyone, like, just keeps their head down in Japan. They bury their head in the sand. They don't tell you their true feelings. It's all surface level stuff. And all these things that are great in Japan, the trains are on time, everything's clean and whatever. There's a human expense that's working around the clock to make that happen. That's why Japan's suicide rate is one of the highest in the world.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's one of the highest in the world.
Look at the suicide forest there. I watched that doco. The suicide jungle.
Yeah.
What's
I've
it
seen
called?
it. Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
goes to commit suicide.
Yeah. And there's a place. I can't. It's called I can't remember the name, but there's a name for it in Japanese. And it's known for people going to just kill themselves.
Yeah.
They have a thing in Japan where, because so many people jump on the rails.
What's that? The tram line?
Yeah. They jump on the train track and kill themselves. They have like a word that announces over like the tannoy like speaker thing.
If someone does it.
If someone does it. And I've actually been on the train before
When it
and
happened.
they've made that announcement. And everybody's just like, oh.
Wow, doesn't even blink.
Like, just there we go again. I'm going to be late home now. Thanks.
Wonder why that is. Wonder why Japan's got such a high suicide rate.
It's pressure. It's social pressure. It's, there's a real, like, you have to act this way. You have to behave this way. Don't speak out of line. Respect your elders. Don't voice your opinions. Bury your head in the sand. Keep moving forward. And that's Japan. People go to work, and working in Japan, it's like there's this stigma of like you have to be the last one to leave the office, otherwise you look lazy. So you end up working like loads of hours for virtually like nothing. Yeah, and you live in these like coffin box apartments, like the one I stayed in. No, look, I know there is some great things about Japan. I don't question that at all. But once you've been there and you've gone a bit deeper, like man, you might have had someone visit the Gold Coast and tell, I love it. I want to move here. It's beautiful. Like, it's great. Yeah, but it's not perfect. Wait till you've lived here for a bit longer and you've seen some of the stuff that goes on here. Far from perfect. It's the same everywhere. You know, I'm just a lost soul, really. I've struggled to, you know, get a new relationship. I've struggled to, because I'm just not in the right place. You know, I mean, I don't know about you, but everyone I meet, I'm just like, yeah, but you're not my family. You're not my daughter. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, there's no compensation for this loss.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, you break up with your missus, yeah, you find a new one, but you lose your child. Your child gets taken away from you. Like, there's no compensation for that. You may have more kids. There's still no compensation for it. There's nothing that can replace that gap.
Yeah, I have fathers say that, you know, the child came back to them when they're 18 after, you know, 14, 13, 12 years, but that they don't get that time back. They don't get the years, the birthdays, the walking, the crawling, the, you know, Easters, the Christmases, and, you know, you could be a billionaire, can't buy it.
You can't buy it. And you would know as well, like, how hard is it at Christmas?
Oh, it's, yeah. I've had one Christmas with my daughter, and I had her for 5 hours only because my scheduled weekend landed on Christmas Eve, and even then she tried to cancel it. But
yeah,
she's had 4 Christmases now. So yeah.
Yeah, I've spent one Christmas with my daughter too. She was about 3 months, and you know, her birthday, Christmas, my birthday, Father's Day.
Yeah, never gets easy.
All these things, man, I pray for them to disappear.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I struggle with
You dread
those
the day.
things. And mate, you know, I've become quite an anxious person. I get anxious because I just feel constantly on my own.
Yeah.
You know, like I've got more friends than I've ever had in my life. My social life's better than it's ever been, but I've never felt so alone.
Yeah.
Because everything that I do, it's just a distraction. I'm just trying to distract myself.
Yeah. That's right. Going back to the house or your unit or wherever, that's, you know, that's the hardest part, you know what I mean? And you try and get on with life, and you do to some point, but there's an ache still there. There's the hollowness is still there.
It is. You know, the only time I feel any contentment is like, you know, I just went to Thailand for 2 weeks with a few friends and we just hung out. And mate, I felt so good there.
Yeah.
But
then you come back.
But I come back to my normal life and it's all waiting for me.
Yeah.
All the ghosts.
Yeah, all the demons.
You know, sometimes I'll have like dreams about my daughter and mate, I'll wake up and man, my day is just, it's not right. Because I've seen her. I've seen her there. And it's just, yeah, and it just, the pain just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And the thing is, one thing that I've realised, you know, people may message you and whatever, but realistically, you're on your own, man.
Yeah.
No one's gonna come and save you from this. Like yesterday, I finished work, and I was super anxious. I drove to Bribey Island just to have a chat and a cup of tea with my dad.
Yeah.
And drove back.
Yep.
Just because I was anxious.
Yeah.
Because I can't bear the thought of me just sitting in that unit on my own. And one thing that I don't understand, because, like, as a dad, I would never do that to a mum.
That's right.
it's just not in my heart.
No.
I just couldn't imagine doing it.
Same.
I want my daughter to have a good relationship with both parents. The hate that my ex has for me outweighs the love that she has for our daughter.
Yep.
And she carries the hate so strong in her heart that that she just wants to use that to make herself feel better. Like she wants to punish me or something. Like I'm not a bad guy. Like yeah, I made mistakes. I did cheat. I know that was wrong. Said some things that weren't very nice. The whole like, oh, you're a bad mom or whatever. Like that was wrong. Was it that bad for me to like not have a relationship with my daughter?
Yeah.
Do I deserve that? Do I deserve to be? And I feel guilty. Like I carry guilt with me as well because I think about some of the things that have happened, and I think I start feeling guilty about the smallest thing now. Because for some reason, I blame myself. But she must really not want my daughter to have her dad. It's the only thing. I mean, what about you? Like, I mean, look, for what reason do you not talk to your child? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question because everyone asks me like, well, why didn't your ex want you to be in your child's life? I said, mate, you ask her. I don't have the answer. You know. And I said you can, and mate, ask that question to all the guests I have on too, because they don't have it either. You know, obviously your ex was controlled by her parents. You know, coming from a different environment, and that would have played a part. But you know, it's
You know, look, my ex lived in Australia for 10 years before she moved back to Japan. She knows right from wrong. I think you're a product of your environment a lot of the times. And she's got no wise counsel in Japan. There's not one friend telling her, look, I think you just need to do the right thing and just let him have access, let him see his daughter, just get along with each other just for the sake of it. Even if you hate the guy, just get along, you know, let him pay for his child. Yeah, it's just not the way it goes.
yeah,
You know,
it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. So now, like, I'm trying to work out how am I going to continue with my life having this happen to me. Like, I can't really focus at work too much. Like, I go to work, man, and I'm just like,
Just thinking about your daughter.
I'm barely there. Yeah, I'm just thinking about something else.
I was the same, man. When I was going through family court and that, I just took 3 months off work, no leave. I leave without pay. Like, people are talking to me, I see their mouth moving, but I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, and then for me, I was in the exact same boat, and I'm lucky. When I say lucky, every father is in the same boat. Like, how am I going to move on with life? What's my purpose? Your child's gone, right? Still alive, but your child's gone.
Yeah.
People ask, just get purpose. Easier said than done. And I was in the same boat as you, man. And I'm just lucky, I guess, in the sense that, you know, my mate, Matty, he runs his own podcast that I was supposed to go on. And someone said, well, why don't you do a podcast? And I said, about you know, family court, etc. And I said, fuck, you know what? And that's what I was very passionate about, you know, not just family court, but parent alienation, you know, a whole lot of topics.
Yeah.
But and I thought, hey, you know what, that is, and you know, that's my purpose moving forward now, you know, getting fathers on to share their stories. And yeah, it is triggering though. It does take a toll on me because, you know, I hear it triggers me, that's what's happened to me. And, you know, but it's what fuels me, and you know the amount of support that comes through me doing this, it's crazy. Like, I've got 4 folders full of support. I print out the messages. I can't keep up, and you know, because it just shows how much it's affecting. It just shows how many people are in the same boat.
I think we needed this podcast. You know, we needed something like this, and you know, I think like just the brand itself, like this is where it starts. It's a podcast. But it could also be, you know, a monthly barbecue. It could be it could be therapy, you know, like social therapy for people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'll meet people, and, you know, a lot of the time, because they haven't been through it, they don't fully understand.
Yep.
So I love surrounding myself with people that get me.
Yeah.
And you know, you and other dads in this situation are those people. Yeah, I think it's been really it's a really important thing to have. I imagine it would give you a sense of purpose as well. Like it's repurposed yourself a little
Yeah,
bit.
it is. Yeah, it is because you know, I didn't have to do this podcast to know that hundreds of thousands of other fathers are going through it. You know what I mean? I knew that. The amount of people lining up, please, can I come and share my story? Like, it's sad because it's, like, I'm never going to run out of people coming on, but it's sad because it just shows how bad this is going on right now, you know? And I've had people, I haven't seen I made a TikTok account, still learn how to use it. Messages, I haven't seen my kid in 6 years, 5 years, 8 years, 12 years, boom, 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 you know? And
That's
it's,
right.
yeah.
And you know, like even on the 60 Minutes thing and stuff, like, you know, you had Penny Wong and all these people saying about how much they care and all this stuff, and we're working on it.
Don't get me started on Penny Wong.
Yeah, it's like, well, not one person has seen their kid. So what are you doing? What do you mean you're working on it? Like, what are you doing?
Well, by the time this episode comes out, so next time I'm back, I'm putting a video together. I'm gonna auction off my medals. I don't wear them anymore.
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna try and do something like a GoFundMe page. I don't know how it works, but I'm gonna have to get find out a electronic program that raffles. So I'm just gonna do anyone that wants to donate money, help pay for random shootout. I want to pay for fathers, pay for flights. There's people that in WA that want to fly over. Just help fathers come on and put it back on the podcast. And I just want to auction off my medal. So the way it works is, you know, if you donate $50, whatever, you just go in the entry, you just put your email and number, and then it doesn't matter how big your donation is, and I'll just get some sort of platform that randomly picks a name and number, and they'll hand them my medals, because those medals once upon a time meant a lot to me, but they don't mean anything to me anymore. And especially the way this system treated me, and they actually used my service against me to try and separate me from my daughter.
Yeah, I sort of seen that, how, you know, you sort of trained dangerous or sort
Trained
of
war killer.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, like
It's stupid. I heard everything. You know, they thanked me for my service. Thank you. And then when I got the call, they're actually, sorry, you deployed. That's not a good thing. It's like, wait, what? Sorry, I'm confused. Yeah, I used in combat, multiple deployment, and this is not a good thing. It's not a good thing as a father. You're a risk around your daughter. I just couldn't believe it.
It seems like you know, it's funny, isn't it? Because the system automatically just sides with
That's
mom.
right. And from day one, my ex wasn't even a citizen as well. And every government agency involved in that system, family report writers, the independent children lawyer, they just sided with her from day one. And I didn't get a voice. Yeah.
You know, there's like a thing that I read in Japan from another dad, actually, and he basically told the story like this. He was like, you know, hello police, my child has been abducted. So are you saying you're a dangerous person and your child and ex-partner has run away? Okay, cool. We're on our way to get you. That's what it's like in the world, you know. It's like, because, you know, like, people have said to me as well, like, what did you do?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what do you mean, what did I do?
I'm the same, bro. Well, what did you do? You must have did something wrong. Well, if the courts rule that way, you must be innocent. I mean, you must be guilty.
Yeah.
Day in, I face allegation. Day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out for 3 years. I was never charged of anything. But doesn't change the fact that these allegations will restrict you and keep you in mud, keep you in quicksand.
All of a sudden, like, you know, once your relationship ends, you suddenly become dangerous. Like, but you know, it's the fault of places like Australia that promote these DV things.
That's
and
right.
We're like, oh, DV victims get like $5,000 or something, and I'm thinking
the men don't get it.
I'm thinking shit. Yeah, the men don't get it.
No.
See, well, there you go.
There you go. You get 20 days domestic leave violence, depending where you're working.
That's right. Yes, you do. Yeah.
You know, All the women have these DV support teams in the family court. There's no DV support team for men.
Yeah, because in their eyes, there is no DV on them.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we're never victims of that. But, you know, when you think about it, like, you know, I watch your story and stuff, and, you know, domestic violence is not always physical. Like, some of the stuff that you went through, like, that's a claim of its own, you know?
Yeah.
They just know how to play up. And especially in Japan, like, I've seen it many times, these girls showing up to court and claiming, you know, they're so small and innocent with their Hello Kitty backpack, and they're very like, oh, you know,
Fragile.
yeah. It's always the same. I've got a guy in Sydney, right? Him and his missus broke up. She's Japanese. He put his daughter on the watch list because he was worried that she was going to disappear because he noticed the passport had gone. Next day, she was on a plane about to go back to Japan. She got pulled off the flight because his daughter was on the watch list. Yeah, and then now she's claimed DV, taking him to court. She doesn't have to pay for anything.
Of course, the women's legal service.
Yeah,
women's legal aid.
He's like close to $100,000 into this, and she's trying to legally like go back to Japan because she's claiming, oh, I don't have support here. I can't get a job. I speak no English. You know, but she's lived here for years. But now all of a sudden she's claiming all this stuff, and she can't do this, and he's violent, and she needs a family and all this. And man, it's so bad, and I don't see things changing anytime.
No, it needs to be on a parliament level. Hopefully I'll have Pauline Hanson on soon. It's looking good. I just got to cross my teeth up my eyes. Yeah, she's a big advocate for fathers' rights.
Malcolm Roberts is another one.
Yep.
Malcolm Roberts, I've spoke to him before. He actually stood up in Parliament and said, you know, what's going on with these abductions in Japan? What are you doing? Like, to Penny Wong and that. He's been pretty big on sort of this stuff as well, and he's the same about like the crap that goes on in Australia with the custody and the DV claims. Because man, I know people here as well. It's the same. Like, their ex claimed DV, and then for some reason it seems like with the DV stuff, it's like they've got a DV out on you, and then they'll text you saying like something. Do you want to see your daughter today or something? And you'll say yes. The next thing you broke your order and you're in jail.
Yeah, that's right. I've had a few people. I've had guests on here. They've breached them 5 times and they've put them away. Yeah. The DV that needs changing ASAP. So
yeah,
mate. Just looking at the time.
Yeah.
So it's evening. Before we'll slowly try and wrap. I want to make sure we haven't missed anything important during this journey that you've been through. It's been quite a journey. Where you at now? You got any contact with your daughter now? When was the last time you spoke to your daughter?
So the last time I spoke to my daughter was the 11th of December 2023. We had a 10-minute video call.
That was it.
And that was it. And that was the last call. So, and then after that, I was blocked again, changed the number. So, I've got no contact with her at all at the moment. I don't know where she lives. I don't know her favourite food. I don't know what she likes, what she doesn't like. But one thing that I do know is that I know that she loves her dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know that she misses her dad and wants to talk to her dad. I hope that, I hope that when this does go out, I hope that my ex does watch it. I really hope she does. Maybe not. But I hope that she does. But yeah, at the moment, mate, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, mate, I'm looking at you now, man. Like, I can tell you're broken, you're hurting. And yeah, like, obviously, easier said than done. Find purpose, right? But what is it? You know, and people that aren't in our shoes can sit back and say that so easy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm struggling with a lot of things. Sometimes I'm better than others. Like some days I'm better than others. But but my default setting is not feeling good. And then I'm purposely trying to find things to do just to keep me
Busy.
preoccupied. And the thing is with me is like, I've developed this thing of just where I hate being on my own. When I'm sitting on my own, I feel forgotten. I just feel low. So I'm always on the phone. I'm always trying to communicate, you know, like even sometimes like sometimes I can't even get myself to the gym because it's something that I do on my own. Like that's how bad it is.
Yeah, I know, you know, obviously the podcast is gaining a bit of traction and, you know, gym time's my time and there's days where I just need to fill up my own cup and I went to the gym the other day for mate and some guy was like, asked me about the podcast. Naturally, it's not his fault, but it just zapped the life out of me because like that moment was the time for me just to refill my cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just like, boom,
Yeah, see.
you know.
Are you like, obviously you've already shared your story, but before the podcast, like, because it's a big part of who you are with what happened with you and your child, like when you meet people, is that like the first thing you want to talk about or you don't want to talk about it at all?
So the reason not many people know how in depth my story was. Even my good mates, mates on photos here, they're like, man, I knew you were going through that. I didn't know how in depth. And that's not their fault, it's because I just didn't tell them. Because it's draining for me to tell them.
Yeah.
Because I was facing allegations every week. Every week there'll be a complaint. And it's not like I'm like, hey man, this would happen. This, you know, like I just don't have the energy to fill people in because I know they're gonna. If I tell them, they're gonna like, oh, but why? And it just goes down the road, opening more and more questions. And for me, I didn't want to tell my story in depth every time. It was just you relive the nightmare. So I thought in the podcast, I'm going to tell it in depth. And there's even some stuff I left, but I got across 80-90% of it. And I told that story then. But some people, hey man, I've got a story. You wouldn't believe it. You know, and I honestly, with all due respect, the amount of comments I get, people's like, mate, my lawyers told me that my case was the worst case they've seen in Australia. But my lawyer said that to me too. You know, I've had about 10 different people say it. So whether it's not their fault, it's just a common thing. But I just say, mate, watch my story first and then let me know if you're comfortable about coming on because, you know, maybe, you know, thing. So,
Yeah, I see.
but yeah, so some people are like, oh, well, what happened? I was like, mate, if you're really that interested, I'm not trying to tell you to get you as a subscriber. If you're that interested, mate, watch my podcast and then, you know, then you'll know. But, like I'm all for getting people on, but some people, you know, there's just days where I just want to do my own thing, go to the gym, and you know, obviously it's getting around. People are like, oh mate, fucking blah blah blah. Or, come on, mate, come on, and just like fuck, absolutely, just not right now. Just let me have my gym time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's good to get a response. Like loads of people are reaching out and stuff in a way, but I imagine it would take a toll because you're almost like a therapist in a way. Like
That's what people are thinking.
You know, like yeah, people are thinking, well, I'll go and talk to this guy. He's been through some stuff. Like I want to talk to this guy. You know.
Yeah.
But two broken fathers don't make a whole one. You know.
No.
So,
I've got some conclusion questions, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I ask the same questions to all my guests, even if they're a broken daughter. So the questions are tailored to broken fathers, but even if I have like a mother on or a daughter, I ask the same question and just get them to answer it as best as they can.
Yeah.
Mate, the first one, any advice for fathers? Knowing what you know now, would you have changed anything during the process?
First of all, I would have wished I would have known how much power that the woman actually holds in these situations. And if I would have known that from the beginning, I never would have let it get to a point where lawyers get involved as well. I think prior to ever having a lawyer, you think that lawyers are good people, but that's not always the case. They're out for themselves, just like most other people. So I think I wouldn't have, you know, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have spent the money that I'd spent on lawyers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well said, bud. Next one. How do we change the system? I'll let that be tailored towards maybe if in regards to Japan. Not much we can do really because Japan's another country.
I think the system will only change with noise and attention, and I think that works for most systems. Most things don't change just because they need to be changed. Most of them changed after a lot of people making a lot of noise for a very long time.
Yep.
I wouldn't recommend anyone to do this, but I think until there's people hanging themselves off buildings and like parliament buildings and stuff like that and causing up big noise, I think the change is going to take a long time.
It's interesting you say that because I've had a guard who does security at family court in Melbourne tell me he knows of 6 guys jumping off the car park across from the court, killing themselves. I've been told about a gentleman jumped off the second level floor in the Brisbane family court, killed himself. I can't find any articles on it though. I found an article of a guy that burned himself, poured petrol on himself outside the family court up in Rockhampton, I think it is, or maybe Brisbane court. And I found that article. But you don't get much. You don't hear much wind of this. So
No, you don't. No,
it's all swept.
It's all swept. It's and that's the thing. However, a man leaves a bruise on a woman, and it's the front page.
That's right. And in regards to making noise, that is my plan with this podcast. I can only do so much. I'm not on a parliament level, but my plan is to make as much noise, shine as much light on this negative system that it can't be ignored, and that the whole public's going to hear about it. And what's going on? How long has this been going on for? And then hopefully hand over all this noise and awareness to someone like Pauline or someone, and then handle over.
It's only going to take, that's the thing. Like, you get all these examples on me and all these other dads, and then you get someone like Pauline to come on and explain it, and like when my one comes out as well, like, there'll be like Eric and a few of the media guys, like I know they'll watch it and stuff, and I'll be interested to see if it to see where it goes, because I think this was needed for a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I know like there might be a little support group here and there, but no one sees it, no one hears of it, no one pays attention to it. This is out there, and yeah, we have to keep pushing.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Yeah,
I agree, mate. Funny one. If you're on death row in prison, the guard comes and asks you what you want for your final meal, drink, and dessert. Probably a cup of tea for your drink.
My last meal, I've got to go. Gotta go a nice British fish and chips, man.
With curry sauce.
Curry sauce, man.
I know. We were just talking about this. My last guess was a pommy.
Really?
Yeah.
Extra salt and vinegar, man.
Yeah.
And look, of course, gotta have a cup of tea after, just to wash it down. Yeah, that's probably my favorite meal.
And dessert?
Dessert, man, I gotta go Krispy Kreme donut.
Oh yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah, it's not so heavy on the gut either.
It's not heavy. And it's just so nice.
It is.
I love it, man.
It's got to be fresh. Can't get the ones from 7-Eleven.
No.
They've been there too long.
They're old, aren't they? They're always old, the ones
Yeah.
from there. Yeah. What about you? What's your
Mate, mine's so sticky date pudding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ice cream. 2 scoops of ice cream, extra sauce. I like Pepsi Max on Post Mix. Like salt, Post Mix. Yeah. And funny enough, I had one on the way here. Cali burrito, mild chicken Cali burrito from Guzman.
Hey, I like the Cali burrito, man. The Cali burrito.
I smashed one on the way here. Yeah.
Do you have it spicy or?
Nah, mild.
Mild, yeah.
Extra chicken.
Extra chicken. Yeah, I haven't had one of them for ages, actually.
Yeah.
They're so nice.
They're good to go.
Yeah, and they're not that bad for you, really, no?
Nah, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. Brown rice, chicken, cooked on the grill, guacamole. Mate, this is a deep one, this one. If you were in a room with every single person you'd met or interacted with on this journey, who was the first person you'd be drawn to and why?
So...
Deep, this one.
on the since this journey started with my daughter.
Yeah. Or you can take it back if you want. Since you're a kid.
I think, you know, if I had one person who I have to look back on that's sort of really done something for me, it's probably my nan.
Yeah.
It's all, yeah, because, you know, like, my nan can't fix these problems. She can't help me, really. She can't talk to me like another dad can or anything. She can't write media stuff like some of the media guys can.
But she was there for you,
But-
support person.
But, mate, when I flew to Japan that time, the second time technically, and I was completely broken on my own, my nan came with me to Japan. And even though we was going through something terrible there, mate, me and my nan just walking around Japan together, seeing things, was some of the best memories I've ever had with my nan. My nan has done so much for me that no one could even comprehend. Every morning when I'm driving to work, I video call my nan because I need to talk to my nan in the morning to help me keep my way through the day. She's meant to be coming to Australia soon, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate, she's done so much for me that I could never ever pay her back for what she's done. And what hurts me as well a lot is not so much like, oh, will I get to see my daughter again? Because I know I will.
Yep.
But I really hope my nan does.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the feeling.
A lot of it I carry for her because I know how much she wants to see her granddaughter. And I'm the only one who can make that happen.
I know that weight because my fight ended the relationship with my parents, my daughter's grandparents.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
broke, which means it's a domino effect. But what's your nan? We can say your nan's name. What's your nan's name?
Maz.
Nana Maz. Shout out to Nana Maz. Yeah.
She's the one.
She be having a cup of tea watching this?
Yeah, she'll sit and watch the whole thing. She will love sitting down watching this.
Will she have a bicky of her cup of tea?
She might do. Yeah.
Oh, God bless her.
Yeah. She's really good, mate, and you know, I owe her a lot. Stuff that I can never repay her back for, but yeah, she's really been on this journey with me from the beginning.
Yep.
And yeah, I gotta give her the flowers, you know.
Yeah. Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Mate, take your time. This is the last question, and it affects everyone differently. Any message for your daughter? Take your time, brother.
You know, there's not a day that goes by where I don't think about her or see her in some vision or some cloud. I love her. I've always loved her. I may not be a perfect person, but I am a good dad. I'm your dad, and you know, I'll continue going through this because I know that you need me to do that.
Yep.
I know that you need me to endure this part of my life for the sake of your life being what it should be. You know, you deserve a good mom and a good dad, both present in your life. And you deserve for your mom and dad to get along for that core reason. And it's an injustice to you of the fact that we're unable to do that. I save money for you every week. Whenever you're ready, whatever you want to do, you come and see your dad. He's got a bedroom waiting. He'll have everything set up. He's got the money that he saved for you. And he's got a lot of time to make up for.
Well said, brother. Well said.
Thanks.
It's okay. Yeah, that question gets gets everyone. But
Yeah,
it's good to release it, you know.
it's it's a tough question, but
I like to leave it time and dates there in case they ever come looking, you know.
yeah,
Right now it's February 2025. Mate, what a story.
yeah. Well, you know, thanks for having me on. Like from one broken father to another, I think you know, yeah, I appreciate it, and you know, I hope it doesn't end there. You know, I hope you become a friend of mine. Like
Yeah, absolutely, man.
like definitely been through it, still going through it. Important that, you know, we don't walk alone. Like I'm, you know, I'm pretty open with how I feel and stuff like that, and I wanna be the best version of myself for when she comes back.
Yeah, that's
Cause
how I see it.
Because she's coming,
Yeah,
and when she comes back, I gotta be ready.
yeah.
I gotta, you know, I gotta look good. I gotta have everything ready because she's coming.
It's good. That's how I put it too. I think, you know, it's easy to be down in the dumps every day and
Yeah.
be stuck in the negative vortex, which, you know, I don't. It's hard, but I just think in a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, when she comes back, do I want to see her father that's been down in the dumps for 10 years, or her father that's working hard, training hard, you know,
That's right.
and then go, wow, that's my dad.
And I, you know, and I do know people that have been so consumed by these issues that they've lost any get up and go, you know, and
Which I can see why, you know, it's
I can 100% see why too. I'm pretty determined not to let that be me, but I know it's going to be a very difficult road ahead. Like I used to be the most carefree person in the world. Like people know me like that. They know like Danny just did whatever. He just lived,
yeah.
you know. But now things have changed, you know. And even to my ex as well. Like I got no problems with you, regardless of whether I agree with things that you've done or not. I'm like I said, I'm not your enemy. If you rang me up and said you want to come back to Australia and you needed some money, a place, whatever, I'd get that all sorted for when you came back. A car, I'd sort it all out because it benefits my daughter.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean that.
Yeah.
You know, that's put that on the record.
Mate, before we wrap up, I'm asking my next 10 guests, so from episode 11 to 20, I'm asking them all on camera, so I hold myself accountable. What you think I could be doing better? Obviously, I'm not going to lie. I didn't have to ask many questions because, to be honest, you told the story off good. It was good, but I am low on energy today, which I do apologise for. So I don't think you get the best out of me. But is there anything I could be doing to improve as a host? Because I want to make sure that my guests are taking time out of the day. They're travelling from all different locations. I want to make sure that you know, not only am I getting the best out of them, but they're getting the best out of me. And it could be sending you maybe a bit of a chronology beforehand, or maybe a bit of a guide what to expect. I'm not too sure, but
I think, you know, I've watched a lot of podcasts and I've found that some people interrupt a lot when we're halfway through a story, and you're thinking, man, just let the guy talk.
that's
you
what
know?
I was doing in the first
So-
10. That's why I'm doing this.
And then, but like for me, you know, you've just sat, listened, you've gave your input, we've spoke back and forth, and yeah, man, I don't really have anything to go on.
Thanks, bro. Yeah. I've been watching the first, and I'm like, fuck, I keep interrupting. I keep, you know, so I just want to, I wasn't intentionally doing it. I was just trying to, you know, and then I thought, let's just listen.
Well,
just let them say.
But when it comes, it has to come out. You're like, I understand. I know that. I understand that. I've been through that. You know, and and it is hard, especially when you've got your own story as well that relates so much. But yeah, man, I think it's been great, and you know, and if you do ever need help with anything, GoFundMe or set up, like, let me know. Like, I'll help out where I can.
Thanks, mate.
Like,
Appreciate
I don't
it.
just come on, tell my story, go home, and that's it. It's all about me.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, if there are any like fathers that like want to reach out and talk to me and whatever, then I'm all for it. Like, I'm always there for everybody.
Yep.
And yeah, the people that know what I'm about, they know that of me. They know that like it's never about me. Like coming on here, this is not really about me. This is about my daughter.
Yeah.
I'm just talking on her behalf
Yeah.
today, and I'm sharing what she's seen, and I'm making an open request as to what she would like out of it. She wants her mom, she wants her dad, she wants to see people get along. That's all she wants.
Yeah. Mate, well, I'll wrap things up there, mate. But
Yeah.
before we go, mate, on the behalf of the Broken Fathers podcast, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day and coming on and sharing your story. I have no doubt that the viewers and listeners will appreciate it too. And I have no doubt that you've connected with people that are either been through it or currently going through it, or maybe even about to go through it, and you've helped them maybe guide a better path of least resistance for them. And, mate, I wish you nothing but the best moving forward in life, mate, and I wish you nothing but good fortune and positive energy, mate, and mate, let's keep in touch and have no doubt we'll get you back on the show again later on.
Yeah, same to you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, mate.